Yo, yo, what's up?
Tick tock, time to rock. Tick tock, time to rock. Hey, how's everyone
Tick,
doing?
tick, 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 tock, time to rock. Tick,
Yo, yo,
tock,
yo,
time
yo,
to
yo,
rock. Yeah, yeah,
yo,
tick,
yo,
tock, time
yo,
to rock.
yo,
Yeah,
yo, yo, yo.
yeah, what's up?
Hey, how's everyone doing? We're gonna talk about Ilhan Omar today. You heard of this? You heard of this lady, AP?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Ilhan Omar. She's not one of us, not from the hood. Uh, it's
Not from
pretty,
the hood
pretty,
like you.
pretty nasty woman.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a. I'll go ahead and say I know a lot of people have a problem with the idea of a Muslim politician. I don't. If you know, like Nabil,
Traitor!
if Nabil had gone into politics, I'd have been fine with it. If his dad had gone into politics, I would have been fine with it. But just seems that some people who go into politics have a pretty messed up agenda, and that it eventually comes out over time. It starts slipping out. The real what's really going on starts slipping out, and then people point it out, and then they're called racist for pointing out the
Indeed, indeed.
obvious. The obvious.
Alhamdulillah. I feel like, honestly, Ilhan Omar is not even like the worst of the people that are currently in government and that are kind of treacherous in that direction. There's another one, Rashida Tlaib. She's
Oh,
not as much talked about, but
I
she's
thought you were
just
just going to talk about like politicians in general. I was like, I'm totally on board. I don't trust any of these whack jobs, man.
politicians are all bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I would say, of course, it's all a completely shady business, but definitely some of these people are significantly more problematic than others, especially if they're not from the hood. If they don't know the hood, then how am I supposed to trust them?
Yeah, and I guess what. So my suspicions. I mean, uh, I've never really trusted politicians much, and then you go into you go into the realm of philosophy. There's lots of philosophers who don't trust politicians much. It's kind of hey, you the guys who just do the will of people who will tell you to kill Socrates. So we don't trust you very much. And but the issue is the issue in politics is once you are elected based on how well you appeal to people, you're going to end up saying whatever will get you elected. Right? You're not going to say necessarily what is right or even what you really believe. You're going to say what's going to get you elected.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's just dangerous. That's just dangerous stuff. So that's dangerous in general. That's why I'm a little creeped out by politicians in general. But then if that's combined with and we actually have complete loyalty to the system that wants to overthrow you or to another country or something like that, then it's like, this is worse than a regular politician.
yeah. In the
Um,
hood, we say "f the system." Yeah.
People are asking if you're imitating Ben Shapiro. You do have the same outfit Ben Shapiro had on for his rap video.
No, I'm just representing the hood here. That's all I'm doing here
Yeah,
today.
that's how we go. That's how we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Gray Jedi says AP got my hoodie.
I
Uh,
usually don't respect any politician unless I know for a fact that his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, and there's
Wait, does there have to be
vomit,
vomit on his sweater already?
mom spaghetti. Yeah,
That is correct.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
guys have spaghetti in Turkey?
Of course, man. Talking.
Oh yeah, people are pointing that out. White Lily said AP's palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti.
Oh yeah. See.
uh, all right, so we're gonna talk. We're gonna. It seems like every 6 months to a year, Ilhan Omar says something that upsets a lot of people, and then people react to it. And there's the latest stuff that we're going to take a look at, and we're gonna see how rough this stuff is. So, where to begin? Where to begin? Where to begin? I have a bunch of clips. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and start. Here. Are you familiar with this stuff, AP?
Which stuff?
This stuff's been trending. We're in another
I've
section.
never heard her speak Somali. This is weird.
We are in another situation where there are people who just listen to us while they're working and so on. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm assuming there aren't too many people who are listening to her and know Somali. And anyone who is can always look up the clip on their own. So I'm going to lower this volume. I'm going to lower this volume level, and I'm going to read the subtitles so that people know what's being said if they're just listening to us. So we as Somalians, you got this?
Annaga
We as
haddii aan
Somalians,
nahay dad Soomaali ah,
we love
waxaan
each
nahay dad
other.
isjecel.
We love each other, but not the non-Somalians. No, she didn't
Waa
say
laga
it.
yaabaa meelaha
She said we love
qaarkood
each
inaan
other.
isku
There are areas of friction, and that led us to kill each other. Yeah, you guys had big wars.
xagano, laakiin haddii
But in reality, we are an
runtii ay
organized
imaato waxaan
society.
nahay dad isku tashto,
Yeah, it's paradise.
dad walaalo
Brothers and
ah,
sisters,
dad dhiig lah,
people of
dad
the same blood,
isku og inay Soomaali yihiin,
people
inay
who know
Muslim
they are
yihiin,
Somalians first.
oo iyagana isku hiil.
Somalians first, Muslims second. Whoa, I don't know how people didn't flip out about that one. You see that?
That's rough. You know what I find funny about all of this? What is very funny about all of this is that, obviously, here in the West, when you have a person who happens to be a voice for Somalis, um, it is a woman. However, if you check Somalia, for example, it is like one of the worst places in the world for women, in terms of women's rights. But of course, this is a Western thing. That in the West, in America, you would have a woman speaking for the Somalians. It's such a bizarre irony here, that you would then hold on to that identity instead of, embracing this very culture that makes a woman, that brings a woman to the forefront and gives her the ability to be the face of the people.
Yeah, and aren't they? Isn't Somalia like the global capital of female genital mutilation? Isn't that like?
Yeah,
Isn't that FGM Central right there, Somalia?
yeah, it might be the highest or one of the highest, in terms of number of people getting female genital mutilation. Yeah.
John here says AP working on a diss track,
Yo, I'm gonna be dropping fire.
but it's
burn
gonna
the
be
world.
Square Dance, which, let's face it, was the original rap. Came from white people, ladies and gentlemen. It was called Square Dance back then.
No.
You know who noticed it? Sir Mix-a-Lot. He actually rapped Square Dance lyrics in a song, like from like 84, 85. I remember when I was a kid. Pretty funny.
It's all white.
All right.
It's all white. They stole it all from us.
They stole our rap music. They culturally appropriated our square dance. That's funny stuff. All right. So she says, we are Somalians first, Muslims second, who protect one another, come to each other's aid and to the aid of other Muslims too. And the other thing that's really messed up about this, so I mean, Somalia, and we've had Somali Christian TV. They're both converts from Islam to Christianity, and they point out, I mean, Somalia could actually be like a paradise in Africa. It has everything it needs. It's just it's just constantly fighting. It's just constantly fighting over jihadis who want full on 100% Sharia, and Muslims who don't want to go that extreme.
It's so funny. It is Somalia is at one of the richest, most desirable places of the eastern coast of Africa. So you're correct there. Actually, the eastern coast in general is quite a rich one that has a lot of potential, but because of all the infighting and all the imbalance, all the inability to focus on actually doing something, they are always miserable, and that's what separates those cultures from Western culture.
And so the theory, what I'm hearing from college students across the West, is that groups that have this mentality, this kind of religious ideas that we have to, I'm talking about, the same ideas that lead to problems in Somalia where they do not need to have these problems. That these are the exact same kind of people, religious people, who should be controlling Israel.
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much everything else. And we'd all be better off if the guys who can't make a stable country at all somehow controlled all other countries. That would be a good idea. But so notice, one, you have Somalia is a Sharia compliant hellhole that is being ripped apart by various factions. She's someone who had to leave because her family was on the wrong side from the worst group. So they had to flee. They got asylum in the U.S. So she comes here, gets to go to school, eventually becomes a congresswoman. And you can see from these clips, her ultimate loyalty is to Somalia, the place her family had to flee because it's so freaking violent. And she's about to make it clear that's who she's really working for, which is very, very interesting. Hey, little side question, because I don't know exactly how this works. You became a U.S. citizen. How exactly does that work? What is like the oath or whatever you have to take? Like, what are the requirements?
Well, you have to go through a long series of questions that are about your background, about your future, about your intentions, and things like these. It's not required to give up any kind of loyalty to another country or anything like that, because America allows having multiple citizenship.
Yeah, some people have dual citizenship.
Yeah. But well, what they do tell you is that I don't exactly remember. I mean, I have the document here somewhere. I could actually just look it up. But it's basically that you are supposed to be from now on loyal to America. Something along those lines. I don't know. I should look into that again.
Wow.
AP
took the oath and doesn't even know what he swore to abide by. Can we trust him?
No, and then you take the general oath of the whatever it is. Yes. I can look it up.
Hey, Ice, if you're watching, I got a big one for you. Look at him. He's even dressed like the Unabomber. We know where his loyalties lie. All right. So,
I am exactly like the Unabomber.
So she said Somalis first, Muslims second. So she's Somali first, Muslim second. Both of those.
Hey, I got it. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, sovereignty, of whom or which I heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear
military. I've heard military guys say that recite the same thing.
Yeah, when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces, and so on. So help me God.
How did you say that? You go, so help me, randomness and chance, my true gods.
I said armed force required by the law without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me, Carl Sagan. I said, and they were like, okay, fair enough. That works.
You should have said Dawkins, man. You should have gone all the way and just said Dawkins.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. It does actually mention any foreign state. So that's
I don't know how that works, because you're right. There, U.S. does allow dual citizenship, so I don't even know how that works. All right, but let's get back to the completely faithful Ilhan Omar. So she's pointing out that there are people who are loyal to Somali. They're Somalians first, Muslims second, who protect one another, come to each other's aid, and to the aid of other Muslims too. Other Muslims coming to other Muslims' aid. A couple days ago, we heard some people who call themselves Somalis. They call themselves Somalis. This is one of the fights that's going on there. Or claim to be Somalis have signed an, what is that, MOU? With Ethiopia on access to the sea. So some sort of contract or something like that. MOU.
A memorandum of understanding.
Is that what it is? Or did you just make that up? Oh, okay, you're right. Memorandum of understanding. Or claim to be Somalis have signed a memorandum of understanding with Ethiopia on access to the sea. So Somali has various disputes going on. There's this issue when it comes to Somaliland and Ethiopia.
la galeen maba
I like how they put in the subtitles. Let me back it up because she's actually saying They put on the subtitles.
in
This is,
Ethiopia ay
Huh?
no offense, it just sounds like such a fake language. I don't know.
That is the worst, most racist thing that's ever been said on this channel, AP. Just want everyone to know the channel Apologetics Roadshow completely, unequivocally condemns the racist statements by the Apostate Prophet on this channel.
I don't even understand which one is the actual. I don't even understand which one is which, because there are two Somalias, of course, here, or one Somalia and one Somaliland. I know very little or almost nothing about this conflict. I don't know which one stands for what, and yeah, it's a weird thing that they're having. And what are they even fighting about?
Same thing that people always fight about.
Yeah.
Or claim to be Somalis have signed memorandum of understanding with Ethiopia on access to the
la
sea.
galeen
Here we go. Here's the
maba aqaan af Soomaali wixii lagu dhaho agreement
Oh, she forgot the word for agreement.
See,
So she goes, I couldn't remember the word. That's totally fine. If you've been I had a German professor who had lived in Germany 40 years. And then after teaching German in the US for 15 years, he would have the same thing. And there would be German students who'd be like, his grammar is all screwed up when he's speaking German.
yeah.
Apparently if you don't use it, you forget it.
That happens.
Hey,
Why are some people going crazy because I said it sounds like a fake language? I also said before that Dutch sounds like a fake language. Nobody went crazy about that.
and I also pointed out that we unequivocally condemn you for your comments. What else do people want? That's all we could do, ladies and gentlemen.
Just because it's a darker skin color, it's not. That doesn't mean it's racist.
So she says, my grasp of the Somali language is atrocious. Maybe because you had to flee that country because it's a war-torn, Sharia-compliant hellhole, and you wanted to get as far out of there as possible.
heshiis maxamuud nuur hadda aniga Soomaaliga badiyo soo ceeb ma aha
What a shame. Again, and uncomfortable laughter at the writing.
dad badan ay soo wacay oo waxay leeyihiin Ilhan
Many Somalians have personally called me to encourage me to speak to the U.S. government to thwart that agreement
dowladda Mareykanka
with
inaan la hadashid waaye dowladda Mareykanka
Ethiopia
maxay ka qabanaysaa
and help Somalia. So people are contacting her. Hey, you're in Congress. Can you help Somalia here? They wanted to know what the U.S. government could do for Somalia to ensure the memorandum of understanding never turns into a full bilateral agreement. So U.S. is supposed to jump in there.
waxay ahayd dowladda Mareykanka
What's that?
I didn't say it.
Looked like you were about to, because you always go like you're about to jump,
No.
like you're about to pounce on something. My answer to the Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. So the UN is going to intervene on behalf of Somalians who are opposed to an agreement with Ethiopia. And the U.S. is going to jump in there and say, no, Ethiopia, we won't allow this deal. I guess that's what it looks like. And so she's going to be pushing in the U.S. to do this on behalf of Somalians who are opposed to some deal with Ethiopia.
waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii annaga aan dhahno dowladda Mareykanka qabo
So the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. The U.S. government will do nothing else except what we Somalians order them to do.
waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno annaga Soomaali haddii aan nahay
They will do what we want and nothing else. Dang. They must follow our they must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. The U.S. government is going to do nothing except follow our orders, and that's how we're going to safeguard the interest of Somalia. So Americans,
That's a bit much.
yeah, it's pretty hardcore. Somalis, so her included, Somalis in the U.S. are going to give orders to the U.S. government to carry out the will of Somalia against places like Ethiopia. That is exactly what she's saying.
waddankan annaga ku nool waddankan waddankii aan annaga tax ka dhiibno
But Quick. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves that we call the shots in the U.S. Dang. We call the shots in the U.S.
annaga tax ka dhiibna waaye
We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. So since you pay taxes in the U.S., you get to call the shots for the U.S. government on behalf of a foreign nation against another foreign nation, which is just weird because they're Ethiopians who live in the U.S. and pay their taxes and so on.
waa wadankii gabar idinka dhalatayne ee
The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interests. That, you catch that, man?
Mm-hmm.
She's supposed to be a U.S. citizen representing the interests of U.S. citizens in her district, and yet she's representing the interests of Somalians in Somalia.
This is so. This reminds me of what we were talking about yesterday when it came to, Islamists making certain declarations about what they want to do with the world, but people then focusing on Jews instead. And here you have an instance again. Like you will see lots of people go like, "Oh, Israel, there are people in America who have dual loyalty. Why are we helping Israel? Why are we doing this and that with Israel?" We are collaborating with Israel a lot because Israel is actually extremely beneficial as a partner to the United States, shares the same values, and actually deals with humanitarian things. In this situation, we have a congresswoman who, just because she is from Somalia,
A place her
promises
family fled.
promises her fellow Somalians that she is here as a representative in order to impose upon the United States an intervention policy toward their homeland, Somalia, just because they are Somalians and it's in their own best interest. So the US doesn't actually have any benefits from this at all. It serves no purpose. It is just this congresswoman's loyalty here at play that simply decides what is happening, which is very, very weird. And the conflict, I mean, I just looked up the conflict very briefly, and it's not even like a humanitarian situation or anything like that. It is just it is a territorial conflict where one side, the Somalians, don't accept the other Somalian state's existence and their right to be an independent. And here a woman who is in Congress thinks, "Oh, I am here, no problem, don't worry guys, I am here. And since I am part of the American government, I will make sure that as America we will police the world on behalf of Somalia in our best interest."
Yeah, and it's again, it's a situation where if you come from some other country and you're still concerned about that country, even though you become a U.S. citizen, I have no problem with you still wanting the best for your country and doing anything you can to promote the welfare of your own country. This looks completely different, regardless of what her intentions were. So this could have happened. So you got a couple things. The idea that this is like planned ahead of time, like a conspiracy. Let's get this woman in power. I seriously doubt that. More like she comes here, because her family gets asylum, goes through school, but still has connections in Somalia, and she's going to talk in some of the clips we're going to watch, where she's with the Prime Minister of Somalia, where she's talking about what a good relationship she has with the President of Somalia, and so it looks like she's just in good with guys who are in the government of Somalia and who are telling her what to do. So, hey, you need to go seek this for us. We really don't. So as you were pointing out, like, what's the interest of the United States? I'm all in favor of helping people when you can. So if the U.S. can help Somalis somehow, or help Ethiopians somehow, totally happy to do that. But okay, if you have a conflict between Somalia and Ethiopia, it sounds like she's saying, we in the U.S. will push the U.S. to seek the good of Somalia against Ethiopia. Like, what is the U.S. interest in siding with Somalia over Ethiopia? I do not see that. Why in the name of common sense would we do that?
Well, the U.S. interest is quite obvious. It's that Ilhan Omar will be happy.
Yeah, you want to make her happy. And the whole squad. Can we just say that? The entire squad needs to be as happy as possible.
Precisely. This is what is important, and this is why Americans pay taxes.
Yeah. So the U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress. Why? To represent the U.S.? No, to represent your interests. And the crowd cheers. For as long as I am in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. My goodness, dude. Somalia will never be in danger. So if Somalia is in danger, so if Ethiopia decides to start a fight with Somalia, the U.S. is going to stop that and protect Somalia. If whatever's happening to Somalia, the U.S. is actually going to go in there and protect it. Somalia will never be in danger. As long as she's in Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will never be stolen by Ethiopia or others. So the U.S. is going to come to the aid of Somalia against any other nation who's competing for, area in the waters or something like that.
Congress joogo wadanka Soomaaliya biyaheeda dad kaleeta iyo badeeda dad kale ma qaadanayaan. Wadanka Mareykankana kuma tahay.
The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia to steal our land or oceans. Would not happen. Why? Because your hero, super jihadist herself, Ilhan Omar, is in Congress calling the shots on behalf of Somalia.
Who is this?
Yes.
Who is this? Why are we?
Well, it's kind of funny to me because, if you're in Congress, you have some power. You do not have this kind of power, right? It seems like she's appealing to the audience, bragging like, hey, because I am in Congress, I get to call shots for the U.S. government. You kind of have to get, a bunch of people in Congress agreeing with you, Ilhan, in order to get the U.S. to do certain things. But it just sounds like she's just boasting to the audience, hey, since I'm in Congress, you guys don't know how Congress works, but it makes me feel good if I'm the hero and I'll just say, I call the shots here. It's like I'm like president of the United States, basically.
It reminds me of like somebody going to their family and then bragging about, hey, I'm in such a high position. I do whatever I want nowadays. Everybody's listening to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's exactly what it's like. Sleep in comfort, knowing I am here. Why? Why are you here? I am here to protect the interests of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. I am here to protect the interests of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. So she's here for Somalia. She's in the U.S. system for a purpose, protecting Somali interests.
This is so heartwarming that we have somebody so helpful in the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, every country should have that. Every country should. Every Sharia compliant hellhole that's like completely war torn and self destructing should make people flee. The people who flee because they can't stand living there and they'll be killed can go to the U.S. Become members of Congress, and then do nothing but seek the interests of the countries they had to flee because they're Sharia compliant hellholes.
That makes complete sense.
It does. Everyone should have that. All of Congress should be made up of people like Ilhan from different countries.
Yeah,
and I mean, for real, to kind of offset this, we need a Congress person who has fled Ethiopia.
Marka taas ka seexda reer Minnesota gabadhii Congress u dirsateen.
The woman, myself, you sent to Congress is working day and night for who? To protect your interests. She knows your plight and that of Somalia. I am as concerned about Somalia as you guys are. Together we will protect the interests of Somalia.
If the
trajectory continues, we will protect Somali interests. President Hassan Sheikh, the current president of Somalia, has done a remarkable job in looking after Somalia. Mr. President, you have done an excellent job fighting Ethiopia and Somaliland. I don't know if that's added parenthetically, and we are happy about it. You spoke to Somalians dispersed across the world that you are there to look after Somalia. However weak Somalia is, or is a failed state, we Somalians are resilient people who can fight against all odds. People who love their country, Somalia. We are people who will never allow someone else to steal our land.
This is so weird, man.
danger laga gelin karin.
Therefore, I congratulate Somalian Americans and other Somalis across the globe
reer Minnesota iyo Soomaalida meel kasta ku nool adeerkaya hadda mar dhow ka hadlaayay idinkaga
for showing a remarkable level of unity against Ethiopia and Somaliland.
wada duuban tihiin sida aad kulligiin
The way you all rallied behind our president because he needs us today. Somalia is... I'm guessing the genocidal mantra is put in parenthetical, added by the translator here. Somalia is for Somalis only. That's pretty racist. As over 45% of Somalia's population are not even ethnic Somalis. So Somalia is for Somalis only, even though around half of the population is not even ethnic Somalis. So what? You gotta ethnically cleanse those people, I guess. I don't know. Is that what Ilhan is? What's weird is you could, if you said this in any Western nation, this is just for our people. You're racist and a bigot. She could say it about Somalia. That's weird.
This reminds me of how things are in other countries, like Turkey, for example. It's like in Turkey, it's very common to have these extremely nationalistic statements like Turkey is for Turks. If you don't like it, leave it. I don't know. There are some significantly worse things to say, but these are considered all completely normal, mainstream. If any Western person heard that within the context of their own country, it would be like, what in the world was that? What are you talking about? It's disgusting.
Yeah, that is interesting because, I'm all in favor of everyone getting mixed up. So you don't just have like a couple of different groups. You have a whole spectrum. You have a whole spectrum of different people. They're all mixed up. Everyone's mixed up. But I have to say, if it's okay for one group to say, "Hey, this place is just for these people," I don't see how you then turn around and say another group from a different area who says, "Hey, this is just for us." I don't know how you condemn that without being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But with that said, I can't imagine who wants to move to Somalia. So, in her defense,
Yeah, I guess.
aan garab istaagno Soomaaliya waa Soomaali Somalia waa hal
Somalia is one nation. Our land cannot be divided. Ethiopia and Kenya have stolen and continue to occupy the Somali region state, which belongs to Somalia. So they're occupiers. And so she's in Congress to get Ethiopia and Kenya, keep them from occupying Somali territory because it belongs to Somalia.
That's such a relief.
We will liberate the occupied territories stolen from Somalia, Djibouti, Somaliland, and the northeastern province of Kenya that belong to Greater Somalia. So the U.S. is, I guess, she's in Congress to help Somalia defeat all these other nations and take back lost Somali territory.
marka waa mahadsantihiin dhammaantiin sidaad ii sharaftiin oo markasta aad iigu soo dhawaysiin ilaahay idin sharfo assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullahi wabarakaatu
Walaikum salam.
Wow.
He needs to leave Djibouti alone. That's where Sheikh Booty is from.
Yeah, he's from Djibouti.
Yeah.
We have more video clips of her saying some similar things and of people reacting. Let's go ahead and go through some super chats, and then we'll check out.
There was also, I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but there was also from several years ago a photo where she apparently, as a congresswoman, privately met up with Erdogan from Turkey.
Oh yeah.
And had a meeting with him in private, and people were like, "Wait a minute, why is this happening? Why is she doing this? What exactly did they talk about? And why would he come here to meet her specifically?"
Her associations are, we're going to see this. We're going to see her chilling with the prime minister of Somalia. And that's a guy who, we're going to see a clip of him saying that Jews are the descendants of apes and pigs. Wonder where he got that idea. But he's going to say that. But yeah, some of her associations are interesting. So check out this retweet. Now, you can't put a whole lot of, if this were the only red flag, the people that she's retweeting or responding to, then I wouldn't think much of it. But when it's combined with all the other stuff, you start to see a pattern. So check this out. So this is her responding to Mujahid Stafio Ibn Islan El whatever. She says, so he had said, attention Ilhan Omar, we the Somali people urge you to take legal action against cessationists for defamation of character. You have a serious case, even Elon Musk, blah, 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 blah. So he's saying stuff. And she replies, unfortunately, in our country, we can't sue people for defamation because we are public officials. I'm confident that the people I represent will never fall for the lies that are out there to smear me, like this one, based where we just actually look at your speeches and so on. I am confident that the people I represent will never fail. So she's responding to this guy he's saying, hey, you need to sue the people who are criticizing you. You need to sue them. And she's saying, oh, it's sad. Unfortunately, I can't sue them because I'm a public official and people are allowed to call me out like this. Because keep in mind, people come from countries where you're not allowed to criticize your leaders without being executed or tossed in prison or something like that. So he's like, hey, why aren't you going after these people who are coming after you? But check this guy out. So this is Mujahid Stafio. Here's another tweet by this guy. There is power with numbers. Breed like rats and establish global dominance. Inshallah, the 21st century will see the great rise of Islam. Glory be to Allah. So that's this guy's marching orders for Muslims around the world.
Big shocker.
Powerful. So
Never
interesting. Yeah. So I mean, just notice you have people in Somalia who are constantly telling Ilhan, hey, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. And she listens to them and brags about how she's going to seek their interests. And you look at some of their interests and it's, hey, we all need to spread and take over the entire world. We need to spread. Start reproducing. We can outnumber all these kuffar.
Breed like rats. That's an interesting way to put it.
All right, let's go through some super chats, and then we will watch some more video clips. Some of them are pretty short, like 15 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute or something like that, but we'll check them out. Let's see. D. Wood, you sing well. Do you do karaoke? Favorite song to sing? I don't know if I've ever done karaoke. If I would probably do some Frank Sinatra stuff. AP.
Oh.
AP, your accents are so funny. Your fave to do. What's your favorite accent to do?
My accents are funny. They're not funny. They are authentic, man. My favorite is actually...
it was the perfect accent.
My favorites are always to do some British accents.
What about Jordan Peterson?
That's what I do at home. Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to do it. To do it.
It's pretty good.
I'm not perfect at it, and I wish I was more better.
Way better. You've massively improved.
I'm more better than I was in the past, but I wish I was more better.
Yeah, if I'm in a room with just a couple friends, I'm usually the best at doing impressions. But you crush my Jordan Peterson. That's what I mean. You're not exactly known for impressions, and yet you obviously have the natural ability. You just haven't tapped into it, and you're becoming better over time. So eventually, we'll just have these awesome. We'll be able to we'll have everyone covered. We'll have everyone's accent covered, and we can make fun of everyone equally. You guys should do a stream going through funny hadiths. That would actually be a good one. Just going through the dumbest hadiths or going through the most violent hadiths. We could do multiple shows, like one going through the most violent hadiths or going through the stupidest hadiths or most perverted hadiths or something like that. We should do shows like that. Those would be good.
I always wanted to make a video just detailing like the dumbest hadiths out there.
It would be hard. Like we would actually like go through them all. If you wanted like a top 10 list, like the top 10 worst hadiths or the top 10 dumbest hadiths or something like that.
You have to it's really hard to put it together. Like there's too much to choose from.
AP's a gangster. His real name is Clarence, and Clarence lives at home with both parents, and Clarence's parents have a real good marriage.
Huh.
Sounds familiar.
What is that?
I don't remember. Where was that? I forget. AP and D Wood, will you do a fan meet and greet in summer? I don't know. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but it sounds nice. I just don't want people to get killed, you know?
Yeah, you guys are like, oh, cool. We can come up and hang out. And jihadis are like, what? AP is over here? And then everyone gets blown up, and it's his fault for going in and shaking everyone's hand.
Yeah, it would be pretty bad to do like a meet and greet,
Pretty bad.
and then because of us, people are
Yeah.
getting actually
Yeah,
killed and
like, hey,
bombed.
everyone, we're having a meet and greet in Times Square at noon, July 4th. Anyone who wants to join us can come down to Times Square. Gays are fine in Gaza. No more rooftops left. Wow. They don't know what to do. That would be a funny little skit. Like, hey, we found a gay guy. What are we going to do? I don't know. We have no roofs left.
Very, very morbid.
Blue says, Omar and company love to complain about Israel lobby, how every Jew with Israel passports is not loyal, with an Israeli passport is not loyal, about how USA should not give $1 to Israel, yet they all help terrorists and corrupt countries. Yeah, they all help terrorists and corrupt countries. That is, the issue is hypocrisy for me. Because I know for a fact I only follow her periodically when I see her like trending, and then I'll see what the uproar is about, but I'm not paying attention most of the time. But yeah, I can guarantee if you had a congressperson, someone in Congress, who's out speaking like in Hebrew at a synagogue, saying, "Hey, I'm here in the U.S. to represent the agenda of Israel, and that's what I'm doing. The U.S. government is going to obey us, so they will do whatever we say, so that I can." She would condemn that. And yet she does it. And it's just this. Where is this not the case? There's always hypocrisy. There's always, here's this set of rules for us to follow, and here's this completely different set of rules that everyone else has to follow. And we're going to complain. We're going to constantly complain anytime you are doing exactly what we do. Why? Because you are inferior and you're not allowed to do this stuff. Only us. We're superior.
The thing is, we are speaking of it as if it was a hypothetical situation. I'm just thinking, wait a minute, what are we talking about? Ilhan Omar is the very person who repeatedly accused Jewish politicians and others of having a dual loyalty for Israel, of working for Israel for money and things like that. She is the one who actually made those accusations many times. We had those scandals quite often. She was called anti-Semitic for making those.
She said it's all about the Benjamins for these politicians.
Yeah. And here she is explicitly having this loyalty for Somalia and giving a speech about it.
And that's what I mean. She's clearly going too far in the way she's describing things. But I wouldn't have a problem with someone who's in the U.S. caring about Somalia and trying to, even though they are required to be loyal to the United States, also seeking the welfare of another country as insofar as they can. But if anyone else does it, that's the point. Muslims are the only ones who are allowed to do it. No one else can do it. And that's wild. And here's if you'd like another example, everyone, of the hypocrisy I'm talking about. So some of you might remember this. This was a clip from a plane, and it was a Christians were singing some Christian song, and a guy was playing the guitar, and Christians were singing a song. And the little thing there at the bottom says, "Worshiping Jesus 30,000 feet in the air." She says, "I think my family and I should have a prayer session next time I am on a plane. How do you think it will end?" Well, there are all sorts of video clips of Muslims taking over aisles.
I'm sorry. I just want to say very quickly that it wasn't. Christianity is generally not associated with flying planes into buildings and all that. So yeah, please stop.
Yeah, it would be a bit different, right? It would be a bit different. Turns out it was later disclosed this was a charter flight. Christians reserved the entire plane for a mission trip to Ukraine, I don't think it's Ukraine. It was some other country where there were Ukrainian refugees, and they went there to help the Ukrainian refugees. Because basically people were coming, they were fleeing Ukraine and going to another country, and they're just stuck in an area, and Christians decided to go and help them. And then on their way back, they sing a song, and she's, how would everyone react if I had a prayer session next time I'm on a plane? Well,
I would be scared.
Yeah, if you reserve if you charter a plane, no one's going to complain because it's going to be all Muslims, just like this is all Christians. But no, she's clearly offended at this, and I understand it. So she probably didn't know this is a chartered flight. And so let's just assume that this is a normal flight and Christians just start singing music. You might have in that situation reason to say, hey guys, hey, I'm trying to sleep here. Could you stop everyone singing or something like that, right? So you could make a case. That's not the point. The point is, check this out. This is when it gets decided in Minneapolis that they can blast the call to prayers over the city.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And it's a completely different reaction. Mashallah! That means God has willed it. God has willed it. Minneapolis to make history with Muslim prayer call 5 times a day. Yes, now we have the prayer call blasting over your city. So think about this. I said you can make a case. Now, if someone started singing on a plane, I really wouldn't care. If I were trying to sleep or something like that, might be annoying. I'd probably deal with it. Charter flight, you have no basis for complaining about anything. They can sing the entire time. It's their flight. The only case you can make is this is what's called a captive audience, meaning they're not an audience who shows up to hear something. They're stuck in a particular place, and all of a sudden you're making them hear your stuff because they don't have a choice, right? Okay. If you made the case, if you want to say this is a captive audience, they're stuck there, and they have to hear this because they're stuck where they are, and you want to say that's wrong for you to be blasting your religious whatever to a captive audience. If you wanted to say that, okay, say that. But how do you then turn around and cheer and say mashallah for seeing that the call to prayer is going to be blasted over a city? What is it? That's a captive audience. If you're in an apartment and they're blasting the call to prayer, you have no choice about it. You have to sit there and hear this 5 times per day. So what can we see here? Ilhan Omar has a problem, a serious problem, if any non-Muslims have a captive audience and they promote their ideas to a captive audience. If it's Muslims blasting people with the call to prayer and it's a captive audience, there's nowhere you go. You're already in your apartment. You have to listen to the call to prayer blasting. She cheers for it and she loves it. That really, really makes it sound like she's an Islamic supremacist. That it doesn't sound like she's just a congressman seeking the welfare of everyone. She sounds like an Islamic supremacist when she says things like this.
This is just incredible, isn't it? It's like this is what's wrong with the liberal progressives and those people. Like, she is allied with those people. The squad is like supposedly progressive. When it comes to Christianity, when it comes to publicly declaring Christianity or church bells and things like that, we are speaking of a religion that is already part of the culture, that has been part of the culture for the entire time, and these people would never celebrate another church bell or anything like that, and they would not advocate for for more churches and for more church bells, for more prayers outside and all of that. On the contrary, people who vote on that part would generally be in favor of less religion. But when it comes to Islam, for example, Ilhan Omar, because she's in the minority position here in America, aligns with the progressives, who are generally secular aligned, and then openly celebrates an Islamization where Islam is added as a new religion to society. And they're like, okay, yeah, that works with us. That works with us. This is just the hypocrisy and the absurdity of this political alignment between progressivism and these people.
Yeah, and here's a religion that, if it gains power, will completely destroy you progressives.
Mhm.
It will annihilate you. You'll be the first
Yes.
to go. You'll be the first to go. They might even go after transgender and gays before they go after like you and me. That's how much they hate and despise them in that religion. And yet the progressives can't get enough of it.
That's the funny thing. Like, the progressives would be in greater danger under Islam than conservatives are, and yet the progressives are the ones who help. It's just such stupidity.
It's pretty dumb. All right, a few more super chats here, and then we'll watch some more video clips. Seed of David says, there is spaghetti in Turkey, but if you go there and ask for pasta, they will bring you a cake.
That's true.
Is that true?
Yes, pasta in Turkish stands for cake. Yeah.
No wonder your country is crumbling, AP.
That's why it is so confusing when I have to when I started speaking English on a regular basis. It's like I know it. I know that these are different words, but the brain is used to using the word pasta for cake. So it's like you have to work very hard and spend quite some time to get used to the change here. It's quite amazing.
Can what's that? Canadian left government called me a crappy piece of land with nothing on it. There were 100,000 people, but it didn't produce an economy. It couldn't grow things. It didn't have anything on it. Do you understand what this is saying?
Called the Middle East. Okay, I
Okay.
guess in the Middle East.
Left government called the Middle East a crappy piece of land with nothing on it. I don't know. It's swimming on an ocean of oil. There's that. There were 100,000 people. Yeah, I don't understand what this is asking us.
That's the only thing that is there, though. That's the
Ilhan Omar, a face that only a brother could love. Wow. It's messed up. Leather straps on these Mossad shekels. God bless. Yes, got to have the leather straps on Mossad's shekels. Both Muslims and Jews are upset with this minister. Yeah, that's true. And that's true because she's in an awkward position because she's she's supposed to be kind of representing Muslims, but she associates with the progressives and the LGBTQ and so on community, and so she's blasted by Orthodox Muslims like hijab. I think they've takfired her, right? You're no longer a Muslim, and so
yeah. I think Mohammed Hijab actually made a tweet where he said that she should not be referred to as a Muslim anymore or something like that.
Isn't that wild? So she has to flee Somalia. Because she's not welcome there and they're going to kill her and her family. So she has to flee. Muslims who take the religion seriously have takfired her. You're no longer a Muslim. And what is her allegiance to? Somalia and Islam. It's like, what? Like, wait a minute. The two things that want nothing to do with you. That's who you're loyal to. This is wild stuff. This is wild stuff.
Wait. Let's see what it says. So I found one of the tweets by Mohammed Hijab about Ilhan Omar from 2022. Whether or not Ilhan Omar and Linda Sarsour are Muslims or not, they are hitherto to be ostracized from the Muslim community entirely. They do not represent Muslims, and we, the Muslims, henceforth disown these two and hereby shun any Muslim who agrees with their general stances. This is so funny. It's like, as you said, she's kicked out, rejected by the Islamists, then takes part in political movements and stances that pushes her even further away from these Islamists and make them want to condemn her. In fact, if she proposed the ideas that she supports here in America back in Somalia, they would probably, she would probably be killed or something. And yet she is still here and she is like acting like a defender of Islam. It's just so incredibly stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is weird. Atheists swear and don't even know what they are swearing. That's why you can't trust them. Well, one thing we can all agree on is that you can't trust atheists. D Wood and AP.
That God exists.
D Wood and AP. Do you like sushi? How about seafood? Yes, I like sushi.
Yeah, pretty good.
It was this funny situation where for years, Nabil and I, when we were hanging out and stuff, whenever it was someone's birthday, the person whose birthday it was got to pick where we were going to eat. And I had only had sushi one time in my entire life. It was at a really bad Chinese buffet, and they had some sushi, and it was like right before closing when they haven't put anything new out in a long time. And I took a bite of sushi. It was horribly disgusting. So I thought I hated sushi. And this is after Nabil became a Christian. This is like 2007, 2008 or something like this. And it was Nabil's birthday, but I was driving. I was the one who was driving the car. He said, hey, let's go get sushi for my birthday. And I was like, I'm not eating sushi, man. It's disgusting. It's like, it's my birthday. I get to pick. I'm like, I'm not going to sushi. I can't stand it. It's disgusting. And he complained a while. And then we went and got something else like steaks or Italian or something like that. But he complained about that every time I saw him for like the next 2 years, right? He's always it's like that time it was my birthday. You didn't let me get sushi and blah, blah, blah. He's still whining about it all these times. So finally, it was a couple years later. It's like, fine, let's go get some sushi. But we went to like a nice sushi place. I'm like, oh, this stuff is delicious. Oh, this stuff is banging right here. And I very quickly patented my own. I can use 3 chopsticks. I have a method of using my hand with 3 chopsticks that allows me to grab sushi way quicker. You like sushi, AP?
Yeah, I do. Remember when I visited you last time? We ate a bunch of sushi and went live.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We were eating it live. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I prefer the like plain stuff. You got stuff that's got like 10 ingredients and sauces and crap like that, and sometimes they put fried stuff in it. I just like the plain like salmon rolls or tuna rolls or something like that. Anyway,
It's pretty good stuff. Good stuff.
I'll be watching you, AP. Very suspect. I guess they're talking about your outfit that you had on at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Sancho Panza, follower of the Christ. The USA doesn't allow dual citizenship. Oh, it says, hey, this guy says the USA doesn't allow dual citizenship, but the other countries do, and there's no way, though, there's no way to enforce it. So according to the US, you're supposed to just have US citizenship, and hence that may explain why you have to renounce allegiances elsewhere.
No,
or are you saying this is wrong?
I'm pretty sure that it is a policy of America to say that that they do not interfere or they do not demand you to let go of your.
Yeah, because I've known people who have dual citizenships.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So some countries in the world actually enforce this, and they say if you want to become a citizen here, you have to give up your other citizenship. America doesn't do that.
Why is it that the West feels responsible to protect anyone who is Muslim? News outlets immediately defending her seconds later. They do. They jump on it, right? She can sit here and say, the United States will only do what I tell them to do, and I tell them to do whatever the president of Somalia tells me to do. So the president of Somalia controls the United States. We own it. And then like, oh no, they're criticizing Ilhan. How do we come to her rescue? It's pretty stupid.
Good. That's good.
It's pretty stupid. Non-Somalis are in non-Somalis are in hell. Worst of creation. Somalia and Somaliland are probably at war because they can't agree on goats or 9-year-olds. Yeah. Some of them choose the cow. Some of them.
I read a little small summary of it. I'm probably going to read about that later. This is stuff that I get nerdy about and read about for hours because I don't know. And I'm like, okay, now I want to know why they're fighting. But I read about it earlier, and it's just some territorial conflict apparently, where Somaliland is from a different colonial background and says we are supposed to be our own country. We don't want to be part of Somalia. We don't like Somalia. It's corrupt and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then they are also corrupt and become extreme. And then there's religion getting into the play. The one thing is Somalia is one of the few places in the world where we had quite a bit of news over the decades of government forces or militia executing people by cutting off their hands and feet from opposite sides, as the Quran commands. They were still doing it. You can find news reports of Somali militia and even government officials, I think, executing rebels by cutting off their hands and feet from opposite sides, because that's what the Quran says. Pretty messed up.
Pretty rough. All right, we'll do a couple more super chats and we'll watch another clip here. Polish commenter makes a valid argument the other day. AP, who learned German from Hitler's speeches allegedly, explodes in an unhinged Germanic rage. Draw your own conclusions. Yeah, we've already drawn that conclusion. That's been settled. We know where AP's allegiances lie. So AP is the Turkish-German version of Ilhan Omar. Fortunately, AP is just not in Congress.
Wait, which Polish commenter? What is this talking about? I forgot that.
This comment is from B.Apologetics. So he probably said something.
I don't remember that. It's probably lying.
See, he does evil to people and doesn't even remember it. It's like Raul Julia in that Street Fighter movie where she starts talking about why she's getting revenge on him, Chun-Li, and she says, and you came into the village and killed my family and blah, blah, blah. She goes on this tirade about how all the evil he's done, and he goes, I'm sure the day that Bison graced your presence was the most important day of your life. But to me, it was Tuesday. And so I think that's how AP is. He doesn't even remember. I don't even remember all the people he offends.
That's pretty much.
John West says, debate request, 3-way with D Wood, AP, and IP debating who is the most obvious false prophet in history, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, or Jim Jones. You'd have to figure out who's defending what. Who would you say is the most obvious false prophet in history?
Mo J. Smith. Honestly, out of all those, I would say Jim Jones, no question.
Really?
Yeah.
We could debate it, because notice you just said you would defend Jim Jones on this. So if Inspiring Philosophy would say Joseph Smith, I don't know what he would say, but if he would say Joseph Smith, I would go with Muhammad. So that could be something that could happen. We could have that would be a fun, if you found someone who would defend Joseph Smith, that could be a fun live stream. Like, not terribly serious debate, just kind of laying out our cases for why each person is the most obvious false prophet.
I think it's quite obvious that it's like Jim Jones. I mean, who actually? I don't know. Jim Jones, seriously, bro.
Well, his fans loved him. Ilhan Omar's religion is grossly illegal in America. So can someone please explain to me why her religion is even permitted in America? And then Quran verses 65:4, it's child marriage and so on, and some of the other verses.
It's not really illegal. It's just that if you practice certain things that are part of that religion, those would be illegal to practice. But with religion,
you don't have to. You don't, just because Surah 65 verse 4 allows you to marry, have sex with, and divorce a prepubescent girl, doesn't mean you have to do it. And so you could believe that it's okay and not actually do it, in which case you're not actually breaking a law.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
David, thank you for all that you do. You have played a big role in me finding the truth. Please never stop, because you are changing thousands of lives. We can all agree to never stop, never stopping. We will never stop, never stopping.
Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing. All right, let's go check out another Ilhan Omar clip of her declaring her supreme allegiance to the country that took her in, the United States of America. Oh, by this one, a couple. I think it's 2 of these clips have a weird buzzing. That's just the way they hooked up their audio and didn't deal with that. So that is not on my end, ladies and gentlemen. That is
I thought somebody farted.
Crappy audio. And well, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to keep it turned down anyway, and I'm just going to read this translation. I'm very honored to have the chance to destroy America from within for the sake of Somalia.
Speak American, man. What is this?
I am very honored to have the chance that our president of Somalia, she calls the president of Somalia our president. Oh my goodness. Let me back this up. This is nuts, man. This is a congresswoman. This is a U.S. congresswoman calling the president of Somalia our president.
This is the problem with these people, with people from this culture, often from Muslim backgrounds and from such cultures, where they feel like, where they act like, they are naturally from that country, so that is their actual home country, and that is who they are, no matter what. The country that they are in, even if they're politicians now and represent this country, is only kind of their formal, official country. Mm-hmm. This is a very common sentiment among many of these groups. I know this very well from Germany, where the Turkish immigrant population has always been like that. When you ask them what their country is, it is Turkey. Although they are in Germany and they work in Germany, they live in Germany, they might even have German citizenship. They might not even have a Turkish citizenship anymore. It's still, my country is Turkey. Yeah, I'm just in Germany for whatever. This is a general attitude, and it's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. I am very honored to have the chance that our president of Somalia, President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed. Let us give him a warm welcome, Minneapolis. in Somalia.
aniga iyo madaxweynaha
The
special
president and I
relationship aan qabnaa
have a special relationship.
aniga adeeraan ugu wacaa asigana
I call him
gabarteeyu
uncle and
idhahaa
he calls me his girl.
madaxweyne sidii qof kasta
Welcome
uu
to your
yiri
home. Our
mininkaaga
home is your
waaye
home.
ku soo dhawow Minneapolis
Welcome to
aad
Minneapolis.
iyo aad aan ugu
We're
faraxsanahay
very
in
happy that
maanta
Hassan is
madaxweynaheena aad
our
tahay
president. So she's in Minneapolis right now, welcoming the Somali president and declaring that he is their president.
Soomaaliya dadka meeshaan wada joogo dhan waa
It is home to all the people gathered here. Wait. Somalia is the home to all the people gathered here in Minneapolis where they have come as migrants and refugees.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
Somalia is our home. So she's a congresswoman in the U.S., but Somalia is actually her home. Somalia is our home.
meeshaan wada
This is
joogo dhan
exactly
It
what I
is
meant.
home to all the people gathered here. So all the Somalis here living in the U.S., all you U.S. naturalized U.S. citizens who fled Somalia because you didn't want to live there or because you were forced out, and who were brought into the U.S. and who were granted citizenship by the U.S., your home is Somalia. This is not your home.
waa gurigooda annaga ma dareensannihin
We do not feel that it is far from us.
in ay naga tahay meel naga fog Soomaaliya wadnaheenay ku
Somalia
nooshahay
is our heart. It is
qalbigeenay ku
in our
jirtaa
hearts.
maalin kasta aan
We
ka
always
fikirnaa
think about that
Soomaaliya
Sharia-compliant hellhole that we had to flee. It's where our real heart is. Couple comments here. Blue here says, I saw somewhere that this translation is not accurate. So this is talking about the first video. Omar and Talib and many like her are not loyal to USA, but also not loyal to the culture that saved them. Yeah, I'd have to see some more information on whether the translation is not accurate. I know some stuff was added parenthetically, like this is genocidal call in the other video, but there have been people who are posting the full text of what she said and saying, "Look, just stick that in Google Translate and see if it's accurate or not." So anyway, there are people who are posting the full text of what she said and saying, for people who say this isn't accurate, just go ahead and check it out.
It's pretty rough.
Ian says, Omar was condemned by the House of Representatives in 2019 for anti-Jewish comments she made, like tweeting, "Israel has hypnotized the world." Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah. It's just a weird situation because, again, I know there are Muslims out there who actually like America and want to do, what's right for America and so on. But you end up with these it's people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar who go for the political power, and then they're not seeking what's good for the U.S. But they may if they believe that what's actually good for the U.S. is to eventually become a Sharia compliant hellhole, in which case they are seeking what's best for.
We
America.
should actually we might want to go live tomorrow, maybe on my channel, and talk about Rashida Tlaib because she recently made a vote in terms of accepting or not accepting, or accepting or rejecting people who participated in the October 7 attacks, accepting them into America or rejecting them from coming here.
Oh yeah, that was nuts, wasn't it?
Yeah, she and only two. Everybody voted for.
What was it exactly? What was it exactly? It's saying that people who are part of the attacks or part of Hamas or something like that couldn't come to the U.S. or something along those lines.
The exact bill, I think, is that those who participated in October 7th attacks shall not be permitted to come to the United States.
I would consider that obvious, right? Like, yeah, obvious.
Yeah, everybody voted for it except two people. One of them is Rashid Tlaib, and one of them is another squad member. So
interesting. What? Why would you punish someone just for slaughtering a bunch of Jewish civilians? They need to come here so we can give them medals from Congress. We're going to give them the Presidential Medal of Freedom for slaughtering those Jews. people elect them because they come from an area where there's lots of people who love her ideas, and then the rest of us just have to put up with it. We can't say anything because if you have a problem with her wanting Hamas jihadis to come here, then racism could be your only motive.
Yep.
Here you have it. Massa. Make America Somalia again.
I'm voting for no Somalian president.
Make America Somalia again.
Make Somalia great again.
She's crazy. Somalia has been harassing U.S. commercial ships for too long for us to jump to their aid. Yeah, Somali pirates are kind of famous, right? Somali pirates for just going over and taking over people's boats and stuff. And hey, I just want everyone to know that as long as I am in Congress, Somali pirates will be given control of the entire U.S. Navy.
Why does Ilhan Omar sound like an American version of Ali Dawa?
That's true. Wow. Mind blown. Descendant of third-generation Chinese and Indians in Malaysia are called disloyal and called to return to China/India by extremist Malay Muslims and politicians. Yep. Sounds like something that would happen anywhere except the West. Giving women the right to vote was a mistake. Is this what's her name? Pearl. Is this Pearl?
Yeah, I hope this is a joke.
Is that you, Pearl? We hope that's a joke.
Yeah, I hope that's a joke.
Because, yeah, you got some dumb women, you got some dumb men, too. There's dumb everywhere. Yeah. Ecclesiastes says, violated the oath of office and says she is a U.S. Congresswoman, and she should not be. Muslims in politics is not wrong. This is wrong. Ilhan, no, Mar. Dima says, I've been saying for decades now that Somalians run the government, banks, and Hollywood. I've been completely vindicated. By the way, it is amazing because if you had a Jewish politician in Congress saying the exact same words but referring to Israel, it would be used to vindicate every conspiracy theory that's ever been. I
know. Yeah. Exactly. The hypocrisy here is just astounding.
It's pretty bad. Why people like Daniel and Ali walk on streets of Western democratic nations who encourage child marriage and threaten ex-Muslims, they should be in jail. Well, again, just there would have to be a law against even saying it, and you don't. You can actually, as long as you're not doing it, or actually calling for someone to commit a crime, it's like they're justifying the principle of child marriage, even though I strongly suspect that at least some of these guys are doing some crap behind the scenes. It's like
I had a conversation.
Okay.
No, finish your thought then.
I was just saying it's like when they start talking about secret second wives, third wives, fourth wives versus ones that aren't secret from your first wife. It's clear that some of these guys are doing it, right? Some of these guys have multiple wives and so on, which you're not allowed to do as far as marriages that are legal before the government, but they're still doing it. So they're doing stuff behind the scenes that they can't announce, because if they announced it, then people would know, and they could be arrested for it. But yeah, go ahead.
Alhamdulillah. I talked to an FBI agent once about this whole thing. Like, what happens?
Don't be snitching.
No, in what situation would you actually put yourself in trouble making public statements that are like violent or threatening in nature? And he said to me, it is a very difficult thing to incriminate yourself by those means. However, there is one factor, which is that, for example, somebody says such and such a person in the ideal world, under these ideal circumstances, deserves to be killed. Yes, we are proud of that. We're happy. And if then somebody actually goes and and kills that person or tries to harm that person, then the person who publicly made that statement can get in trouble and can be seen as guilty. But
So
it's again a very, very hard case, very difficult
just to be
case.
clear, Ali Dawa, who has openly and publicly called for your public execution under an emir, if someone goes and murders you and says, "Yeah, I got it from Ali Dawa. He really put the idea in my head," then the government could finally say, "Oh, we've got a problem with Ali Dawa calling for people to be publicly executed."
I think even then it would be very difficult, but
I think it would
possibly.
be too.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the proof that two first Christian countries, the first Christian counties are hated, Armenia and Ethiopia, and Sharia is so good in Somalia. Maybe we need United Sharia America. Yeah, it is.
It's going to be the United Caliphate of America.
Yeah, everywhere needs to be exactly like Somalia. And you know what we need? It's just like the videos we're just watching on your channel where you've got all these guys like Deli Hussein and so on. We're gonna have Sharia and we're gonna have a caliphate and so on. And you've got people who have shown that they are completely incapable of making a place where anyone wants to live, believe that they need to be in control of the entire world. And so you see it from the Dawa guys, you see it from the sheikhs, you also see it from some of the Somali politicians and commentators who are encouraging, not my words, his words in his tweet, breed like rats, so to take over the world.
Ooh, that's the most racist thing I've ever heard, man.
He
Careful
said
with
it. He's the racist.
Yeah.
She is involved in the old Islam trick of cutting of commerce. Ethiopia has no direct access to friendly waters. They are choking the life out of Ethiopia with jizya tax for access to ports. Nanny Poo Poo says the Clarence thing is from 8 Mile. Okay, that was from 8 Mile. I've never seen 8 Mile. I've seen some clips. But
Oh, yeah, okay, Clarence. Yeah, okay, I remember. Clarence. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've seen YouTube clips of like his battle raps and stuff. Human Kirk says Eastern Europe is already anti-Islamism. Now NL is DE. What are these countries? Denmark is getting there. So is Italy. But so Netherlands, I guess. But France is definitely the next one. Just look at their rising right. Well, the thing is, you have lots of these places that will have kind of a brief blip of, oh, we're concerned about Islam, and then they all get blasted for being racist and stuff, and then it dies out and stuff. So, wondering when when something's actually going to last, and what the heck you do. Like, what do you actually do? So, okay, you get ticked off. You get ticked off about people spreading certain ideas and taking over areas and so on. And what do you do about it? What are you going to do? That's the question. Come up. Yeah. What are you going to do that's actually going to work? That doesn't involve just going around massacring people or something like that.
Eastern Europe was always strongly anti-Islam.
Because and there was a reason it was still within their memories, right? It was still within their memories. Like they kept getting invaded by the Ottomans. They kept getting invaded and invaded. So then later on, it's, hey, just bring in tons of migrants from. And they're like, no, we've been dealing with these guys for centuries. So no, wasn't as big an issue for like the Netherlands or Sweden or something like this. So these guys, yeah, what a great idea. Yeah. We can get as many as possible.
It's funny, the whole term Islamophobia, the very early usages from a long time ago don't really, it's not really used in the sense that it is used nowadays, which is like that it's a morally bad, irrational opposition to Islam or something like that. It was just, I think, first used as a word that is, that you have this irrational fear of the invading Islamic forces because instead of moving on with your life, or instead of looking forward or something like that, because Islam was always there at the door, but you don't have to necessarily be afraid of it. And then it somehow turns into this social justice term, which is very, very, very funny. But yeah, in Western Europe, the more it reveals itself, its true face, the more countries turn into an anti-Islam position. NL is Netherlands, DE is Germany, IT is Italy, FR is France.
Thank you for that geography lesson, AP.
You're welcome.
Let's see. A couple more super chats and we're going to watch another video clip. She is using her power to put political jihad on Ethiopia and the U.S. Political jihad. Interesting. Make Somalia great again. Thought it was a Fuentes speech, a little supremacist. Africa is the biggest Christian persecution area on earth. Wild. Yeah, the worst place right now on the planet for Christians is Nigeria. And who's doing it? Jihadis. That's who.
Jihadis.
Hey, here you go. D Wood. She is afraid of the skinny-legged man from Ethiopia. Remember that? That's the guy who's going to destroy the cop. That would be funny. What you can make a video. Why does you could compile some clips? Why does Ilhan Omar hate Ethiopia? And you can combine it with Muhammad's prediction that the Kaaba is going to be destroyed by a skinny-legged Ethiopian man.
Mm-hmm.
Curious, what's y'all's favorite STOR movies? What is that?
What?
What is it? What is a store movie? Oh, that's from Ali Dawa. Was that Ali Dawa who was saying that?
Yeah, but
hey, what's in the store movies?
It's not like in the store movies, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember.
It's not like chopping up body parts and like in the store movies, yeah. I still have no idea what he said.
Yeah. Dark Humor, Frank Sanazi, Unleashed, YouTube, 1331 long.
Cool.
Nanny here says, she said we are Somalis first, Muslims second, so... And U.S. citizens last. Hey, in Chinese, they call using 3 chopsticks something. I don't know if this is a joke, but I hope it is because I thought I invented the 3 chopstick method, but maybe it is an actual thing. So clarify, Solitary Emmy, whether that's serious or not, because I thought I invented it. And it also allowed me, it was perfect because it also allowed me, between eating sushi, it allowed me to do Wolverine impressions. I could start going with my 3 chopsticks between my fingers, going, "Who am I?"
That's pretty good.
D Wood, do any Christians read what's you call the Old Testament in original Hebrew? Why or why not? Yes, that's pretty common for people who go to seminary to have to learn Hebrew if they're going to have any sort of Old Testament emphasis. So people like Tony Costa, yeah, they know Hebrew. They can read you Hebrew. I go to the conference every year. That's the it's a conference of Christian academics, but there are tons of Old Testament scholars there who know the Hebrew. In fact, who was I talking about that with? Was that you or IP or someone else who was talking about going there and getting the Hebrew scholars to comment on some of the claims made by Muslim apologists about the Hebrew? That's the word Muhammad there. Thought it was funny to go like 10 Hebrew scholars and they're like, Hebrew scholars react to, oh, we should do that in Israel, get Hebrew. Hey, can you read the Torah? Can you read Song of Solomon right here and tell us what it says?
We could go into a serious religious Jewish community there and to ask them some questions about these Muslims and what they say. That'd be funny.
Yeah, we should roll up. We should just roll right up in the most devout and say, you see, we have the proof that Muhammad is a true prophet. He's right here in Song of Solomon. It says the word Muhammad.
And right. Why do you worship Ezra? Why do you say Ezra is the son of Allah? What's wrong with you?
We should definitely get a group of people together and say, all right, everyone, we got a whole room full of Jews here. Raise your hand if you go around calling Ezra the son of God. No one? What is this? Muhammad says you all do. We still can't find one. That would be funny.
Not real Jews.
You're not real Jews. The real Jews call Ezra the son of God. Oh, this is what we deal with. All right, another. This one's a short Ilhan clip here. We must fix our roads. It's a worthy goal. I am an American migrant in the U.S. Congress. But I am a Somali girl. A girl with your lineage. A girl with your language. A girl with your religion. That was a young child taken from her country. Taken from... No, she makes it sound like she's kidnapped. She makes it sound like she kidnapped, right? I was taken from my country. Your family took you from your country to not be murdered. To not be murdered in the name of Allah, okay? That misses her country. So she hey, look at this. She's a U.S. citizen serving in Congress, and she says she wishes to live in Somalia. There was a young child taken from her country
waddankeedii laga kaxeeyey
that
oo weli
misses
xiise
her
u qabto
country
in
and
maalin
wishes to
waddankeedii ay ku
live there
noolaato oo dadkeedii wax ay la
and
wadaagto
share with its people.
marka alxamdulilah waxaan
I am
rajaynayaa
hopeful
aniga
in the
iyo
future
ilmahayga
that me and my
in
children
aan haddee
will
ku
be able to
barbaariyo
raise our
iyagana
kids
ilmahooda ay ku
in this
barbaariyaan
land,
dhulkii
Somalia,
aniga
where
aan
I
ku
was
soo koray
born and raised
taas
and had to flee because all the violence caused by Islam. To make that
haddii
possible,
ay suurtagelayso waa hadda shaqo badan inaan wada
there is a
qabanaa haddii
lot
ilaahay
that
yidhaahdo
we need
oo
work on
aan ka
together
dhignaa
to make
dhulkeena
our
dhul
land. What's your land? The United States? No, Somalia. That's our land. To make our land a more stable and prosperous
barwaaqadiisa
place.
dadka oo dhan ay dareemi karaan oo ay arki karaan
That is
oo
felt
ay ka
by
wada
all.
faa'iidaysan karaan
Speak American, lady.
Isn't this wild?
Pretty wild.
It's pretty wild. And you did have some reactions from people. I'll just put up one. So this is DeSantis when he saw this clip. He said, "Expel from Congress, denaturalize, and deport." It's pretty harsh, right? So expel her from Congress, denaturalize her so she's no longer an American citizen, and deport her. Wow, 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 wow.
That's pretty rough.
It's pretty rough. I really, really find this fascinating that you can manipulate people to such an extent that they'll accept this. And not only accept it, but view anyone who questions what's going on. If you even question it, you're evil. So if you have any problem with a woman whose family had to flee Somalia because of the violence, come to the U.S., become a U.S. citizen, go to school, get elected to Congress, and just go around declaring, "Hey, it's actually Somalia that's calling the shots here. I'm just going to do the will of Somalia here. I'm working for Somalia. I'm in Congress so that I can pull the strings to get the U.S. to defend Somalia against Kenya and Ethiopia and so on. That's what I'm here for." And if you question that, which guess what? She's not supposed to be saying this kind of stuff. But if you point it out, the only possible reason you could have for that is race or something like that, or Islamophobia. That's the only reason you'd be concerned about a person openly admitting their allegiance to another country and admit that they are in the U.S. government specifically to have the shots called for them by another country.
We the Somalian people. That's what you should be saying. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, long story short, she is not a traitor. She's just a fantastic American person, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the conclusion.
Yep. Got some super chats. We'll watch a little more. We'll also see some reactions here in a little bit. Nanny here says, "I'll defend Joey Smith. Golden plates, come on." I know there are. I know there are. If AP is willing to defend Jim Jones, I mean defend him as the most obvious false prophet on that list, not defend him the way he defends Hitler's speeches and so on.
I actually like Jim Jones. I think he's my favorite cult leader, honestly. But yeah, I would say that he's the most obvious fake one in that list. I would do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dude where you wonder, like, did he know how evil he was, or was he that deluded? Like, are you that insane that you're having all this entire community and kids and everyone drinking this Kool-Aid and dying, or like, do you actually believe that you are this special person, or are you just completely evil and you know what you're doing?
That's what I always wanted
to
to
know.
Yeah.
Nanny also says she's 100% a traitor. How should she be punished? I don't know. I don't know what the rules are about these things and so on. Welcome to New Somalia, everyone. That would be cool if she got her way and this became the United States of New Somalia.
Hey, that would be nice.
He don't shake hands. He shake your booty. That's true. Here's a question for you, AP. AP, have you listened to AI Hitler singing nasheeds?
Wait, what?
I've seen some of the AI Hitler singing songs and so on, but I haven't seen.
I sent you a thing. I sent you AI Hitler singing "Billie Jean" by Michael Jackson. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I loved that. I haven't seen any nasheed versions. I need to check that out now.
Yeah, we should do a review of those. That'd be cool.
That's funny.
Okay. Amber here says, of course women should have the right to vote. I super chatted about Pearl last night. It was a complete joke, but these chicks do be crazy. Yeah, they are.
I'm very happy that you clarified that and that you are not indeed suggesting that.
And it is weird. Like if it's one thing for a man to say women shouldn't have the right to vote. It's like, okay, that's messed up. But it's even weirder for a woman to be saying it.
I know, that's which is why when Pearl says something like that, it just sounds weird, and people think, okay, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, is she really psychologically messed up, or is she just ha ha ha? There are enough people who think this way that I can get a lot of attention if I start saying these things that outrage lots of people.
That's what many people guess is the reason why she's doing this.
Looks like Somalians are still exacting revenge for Black Hawk Down. By the way, India has many Ilhan Omars whose grandfathers just didn't leave India. Yeah, Black Hawk Down was a pretty dope movie.
Haven't seen it.
That's a good one to watch. Rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom, power, and comforts that are provided, and bites the hand that feeds them. Alhamdulillah.
Hey, did you see that tweet recently? I think, who was that? Matt Walsh, I believe. He said, because she made a tweet where she complained that people call Somalis Somalians, and she said something like, and stop calling it Somalians, it is Somali, or something like that. And Matt Walsh then tweeted at her and said, if you don't want to hear this, just go back to Somalia, then you don't have to hear people say Somalian anymore. And that tweet went viral, and she just went very mad about it, and people were like, racist, how dare you say go back where you came from, and so on. There was this big thing going on several days ago.
Yeah, that is that's weird stuff. But I mean, think about this. So anyway, think about how weird this is. She says in these video clips that she has a special relationship with the president of Somalia, and she calls him uncle, and he calls her my girl, and so on. And they have this good relationship, and she's saying she wants to live there. And it's like, wait a minute, you're friends with the government now, and the government loves you so much that they're basically giving you orders on what you're supposed to do, and you're saying you want to live over there. Wait, if you're in good with the government, then and you want to live there, seems like you should be okay, and yet you're still here. Kind of seems like maybe they want you here, right? Like, no, don't come back here. You're in a really good spot.
I'm pretty sure that's a conversation that would actually take place. Like if she asked the president of Somalia, hey, I love Somalia so much, I want to come there, should I do this? He would probably say, nope, no. We need you. You are in a perfect position right now. We need you over there.
Yep, just go keep defending all this LGBTQ stuff to keep yourself in good with the progressives and get enough support to blast away at Ethiopia and Kenya on our behalf.
Alhamdulillah.
Powerful stuff.
Perfect stuff.
I see Muslims claim on Twitter that their tax, zakat, is higher than jizya. Is this true? I have my doubts. No, it's not true.
No, it's not true.
Yeah, it can't, because jizya varies depending on so zakat stays where it's at. So zakat stays where it's at. Jizya can vary depending on the situation, how much money the person has, and so on. But I mean, the jizya of the Jews of Khaybar was 50%. It's 50% of their annual produce. That was the jizya imposed on the Jews of Khaybar after they were defeated. They had to pay 50%. So no, zakat is not higher.
Yeah, there is no such thing. There is no limit to it.
Yeah, it's whatever they're going to impose on you, whatever they think you can pay. That's what they're going to do. So yeah, that's false. But it is a common claim, because again, it can be. They can say, oh, this group is so poor that we're not going to charge them much of anything. And so, yeah, so it varies. So there could be situations where zakat is higher, but no, if people are saying, no, it's just, that's the way it is, that's false. Because again, it could be 50%.
And this is one of those things that you hear from regular Muslims on the internet or from some apologists, but you wouldn't actually hear that from actual Islamic scholars when you ask the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Things become popular. And just when you see something like that, this is a general rule. When you see a claim and you're saying, I'm not sure if that's true, ask them for a source. It's very simple. Ask them for a
Mhm.
source. Where does Muhammad say that that zakat is higher than jizya? Where does he say that? Old Vlad the Impaler knew how to deal with Islam.
I would say that he had different motives. To him, it
Yeah.
was like this Ottoman Empire is like, oh, we are the
Constantly invading.
boss here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we decide what happens, and you will submit to us. And he was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Come here,
It is
let's see what
interesting.
happens.
So for anyone who doesn't know, that's Vlad the Impaler. That's he was so brutal that this gave rise to the story of Dracula. That Vlad the Impaler is actually the vampire character and so on. So lots of places have this view of him as really really messed up because he would just mile after mile after mile. There are stakes on the sides of the road with bodies of jihadis stuck on them, right? And so the Ottomans would try to invade, and they start going up this road, and mile after mile after mile is the impaled bodies of their fellow jihadis who tried that last time. And there were cases where they marched for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles going up there, and then they all just let's turn around, and they actually turn around and leave because it was that intimidating to them.
That's the tactic. Like it's just spreading fear, defending yourself by spreading fear and demoralizing the enemy that is trying to invade you. The army gets seriously demoralized by that sight of just like long walks of just stakes with dead soldiers or just heads and things like that, and they're like, okay, I want to get out of here. I don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, and if you tell most of the Western world, look at what Vlad did, they're like, oh my goodness, can't deal with that. In his area, he's still viewed as like the hero who saved them from Islam.
Yeah.
And it's understood. Yeah, this guy's brutal and messed up, but you had to be that way because of what was coming at you. That's the view.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We'll go a couple more, and then we're going to check out another clip. Ilhan, I feel we are not far. Ben, facts don't care about your feelings. Burned by the notorious Ben or Dr. Dreidel. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd be funny if Ben became interested in rap because he got a #1 song and decides to do all these like diss tracks about Ilhan Omar and stuff like that. That would be funny.
Mm-hmm.
The Polish winged hussars made sure the Ottomans never returned to Central/Eastern Europe, and we're proud of that. I also made the comment about the multiverse generation machine, aka God. Alhamdulillah. Smash Allah.
Oh, you know what about Vlad the Impaler, by the way?
Mhm.
So his name was Vlad Tepes, and his the name Dracula.
It clearly spells teeps.
But the name Dracula, which is now associated with the whole vampire legend, was actually the name of the house that he belonged to. It was the House of Dracula, and he was known as or they were known as Draculesti or something like that. And that then, because that was his name, that was the house name, that turned into that whole vampire figure legend. That's very funny.
That's one of the people asked us a while back, like if we were like traveling, what kind of things would we like to see? And I was like, I don't know, castles and stuff. I like ancient ruins, and I like castles and stuff. But that's when I think about it, I wouldn't mind going checking out the the old castle of Vlad. That's some interesting stuff. And checking out the road that the Ottomans would have marched up. That'd be some interesting stuff.
That would be good. That would be based.
Don't Muslims say Jesus was immaculately conceived? Yes. Jesus was sinless. You even have a hadith that says Mary was sinless, and that's the only two people who it says it about. But then you have another hadith which just refers to Jesus as the only person who was ever born that Satan couldn't touch. But yeah, definitely sounds. Which again, we've pointed this out a million times. There's no reason for all this in Islam. There's no reason in Islam. There's no what's the purpose for Jesus to be born of a virgin, for Jesus to live the most miraculous life in history, for Jesus to be the one that Allah wouldn't allow anyone to kill, for Jesus to be the Messiah, for Jesus to be the one who, what is all of this about? For Jesus to be the one who's sinless, for Jesus to be the only one who's called the Word of Allah, for Jesus to be the only one who's called a spirit from Allah. Why is Jesus unique in all these ways? These things make sense in Christianity. They make no sense in Islam. And it just seems that Muhammad's adopting a bunch of views that make no sense.
Yeah. Again, this is like, it always needs to be, I think I always want to emphasize how the entire narrative of Jesus being born of a virgin is because of the belief that he is the Son of God. Like that's the sole reason why that entire narrative is so important, why that whole narrative exists. So why in the world is he born of a virgin in Islam? It doesn't make any sense.
Matter of fact, that might be a good short video to make, just so people have all of that handy. I might do that. Matter of fact, I might start putting that one together tonight. Won't that be a good one? Like, why is Jesus so different in Islam? And just born of a virgin, performs all these miracles. He's the spirit from Allah. He's the word of Allah. He's the Messiah. Why? Why does that make sense in your religion? Doesn't it make more sense in Christianity? So leave Islam. Pow. Done. 5-minute video.
That would be very dandy.
What do you guys think? Should I knock that one out? We got some fun stuff coming up, but I might knock that one out.
How about yeah?
Can everyone hear this? There's an atheist saying, yeah, make that dope video about Jesus.
To make it.
Deep down, atheists love Jesus. To clarify, doesn't saying we're Somalis first, Muslims second, take one out of Islam, because that is I noticed that. So most people who are looking at that were concerned. Wait a minute, she's saying Somali first and Islam second. She's not even mentioning America. So what are we, third? Are we 10th? What is it? What's going on here? But notice it's Somalis. We're Somalis first, Muslims second.
That sounds pretty based, honestly.
Yeah, that sounds like that sounds exactly like something that would enrage Dawa guys, and they'd flip out over it.
I like hearing that just because of the Muslim second.
D. Wood, in Somalia, where Ilhan was born and raised. What's that song? I feel like when I see the music notes, I feel like I'm supposed to be singing it.
That's what it looks like. In Somalia. I don't know.
I don't know which song that's supposed to be. Keep up the good work, guys. It's what they do. We do.
No,
we do good work, and we will keep it up.
I'm not keeping it up.
We will not stop. They will have to saw our heads off our bodies, and even then we will come back as ghosts to haunt them.
I'm not keeping it up. Don't ask me.
Thoughts on Christian Palestinians and their opinion? Yeah, I've shared my thoughts on Christian Palestinians a bunch of times. I've pointed out that, I've compared it to being in prison, where you're in prison and you're around Muslims, there are atheists there are people from there are all sorts of weird cults and so on in prison, but you're all together. When you think about who your real enemy is in prison, you think of the guards and the administration and so on. That's who you think of. And so you can be in an area. If you're in an area and it's Christians, Muslims, and so on, you can actually view someone else, especially someone who's way more powerful than you, as your enemy. So it seems to me, I don't have any official statistics, it seems that most Palestinian Christians do not have a high view of Israel. There are exceptions, because I've met some. I met both Christians and Muslims who would side with Israel over what's going on over their Palestinian leaders. But most of the population, both Christian and Muslim, of the Palestinian territories seem to have a pretty negative view of Israel.
That's the thing. Christians in Israel are extremely, overwhelmingly in favor of Israel, but Christians in the Palestinian territories don't seem that way at all. So,
and I get it. I mean, I get it. If a jihadi launches a rocket over at Israel, and then a bomb comes back and blows up your cousin or something like that, I understand. I get being ticked off. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what we have to say is the only path forward for the Christians there is to either get out or or that the terrorists have no control in that area. So I think they would
Mhm.
actually be better if someone else is controlling that area. But yeah.
Mhm.
Did Omar have a clitoridectomy? Could explain her attitude. I don't know, but it is so common in Somalia that I would say it's a very, very low chance that she didn't have one.
I never thought about it, honestly.
Yeah, and I guess there could be exceptions and so on, but generally the percentages of young girls who are victims of female genital mutilation is really, really high in Somalia. So if you just going with if you're just going with probabilities, probably, yeah. Our national hero, Milos Obilik. Who's that? You know who that is? Who is that, AP? You want to search for that? Do you know who Milos Obilik is?
I know there was a guy who was. I know of one Miloš who was a Serbian guy against fighting against. But I don't know. This might be a joke. This might be something else. I don't know what it is.
You're a joke. All right, well, a couple more, and then we'll watch another clip here. Let's see. Delivering my
Was
jizya.
a legendary Serbian knight who is reputed to have been in the service of Prince Lazar during the Ottoman invasion of Serbia in the late 14th century. Yeah, okay, that sounds.
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
this is the one I was thinking of.
Isn't it
Battle of
interesting that
Cuscatlao.
there? Isn't it interesting that there were all these old school heroes who understood, guys, whatever else happens, we cannot let that in here. We have to stop it. We have to fight to the death over this stuff. We can't let that control us. And then you go fast forward a couple centuries. Hey, does anyone want to come conquer us? Please, we'll do everything. We'll bend over backwards. Please come trample over us and rape these little girls. Yay!
Yeah, this guy was a soldier. He is said to have assassinated the Ottoman Sultan who was invading with his army, which is why he's celebrated as a hero. I learned about this a long time ago when I had I was working for some Turkish company internationally, and I had visitors from Serbia.
You weren't
who
working
mentioned this
from a
story to me.
Turkish company, dude. Come on. You don't need to
I
make.
was.
You don't need to embellish. You don't need to embellish things. All right, go ahead. But go ahead.
I'm just trying. I'm just trying to sound interesting, man. Let's
Okay.
leave me alone.
Okay.
Yeah, I had those visitors from Serbia, and they mentioned that story, and I thought, that's interesting. So I went home and looked it up, and it is kind of a legend. It's not entirely historically. It's not entirely sure that it's historically true, but there is such a story of such a legendary guy. Yeah.
Michelle says, have either of you watched Jordan Peterson's video of him singing the postmodern drinking song? No, I haven't. Have you?
I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Jordan Peterson singing? That sounds like it would be funny no matter what he's singing. Hey, here's my song about drinking, eh? Does Ilhan know what she is saying? She just admitted to being a part of international espionage against the U.S. That is what it sounds like. I would at least like people to ask her to clarify what the heck she is saying.
Wait a minute. What did you say?
In fact, matter of fact, we can go ahead and check this clip out, and then we'll go through some more super chats. But you have had people. So again, I don't trust politicians in general, but there are politicians who are calling on some sort of rebuke or punishment for her for saying these things. So here we have Marjorie Taylor. I think her name.
Oh no, not her.
I think her name's Marjorie Taylor Greene or something like that. And I've heard these. Here, check this out.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota.
You see that deliberate Freudian slip.
Okay, funny. That's good. That's good.
I've heard that these politicians. I've heard that these politicians just go in here and there's like no one there, and they act like they're speaking in front of someone, and there's like a camera there, but it's just like to upload. You know what I mean? I've heard because my wife goes to Capitol Hill sometimes for to try and appeal to politicians on helping spread awareness of children with rare diseases and so on. And yeah, they broke it down to her. They went by and there's like one person in the room giving a presentation on camera and stuff like that. She's like, "What's going on?" They're like, yeah, the politicians, they record stuff that just gets uploaded, and then they can. It looks like they're in front of a group when they're just by themselves.
It's pretty
But
nice.
I don't know if that's what's going on here, but that's what I think. Anytime I do not see other people in the room, I always assume that whatever politician is just by himself recording this.
But
Censuring Representative.
you don't know about Marjorie Taylor Greene, what she is, and
I have no idea. I know a bunch of people hate her, so I know there's her, and there's that Bobbert chick who was like feeling all over some dude, and he's feeling all over her like a theater or something like that. But I don't pay much attention to it. I don't care a whole lot about the politics.
Yeah, she can be nice when she's critical of people like Ilhan Omar. She is a little bit crazy though. She also had this whole thing a while ago. She made this weirdly insane tweet about how there were these. I think it was during the fires in California, and she basically suggested that the fires may have been triggered by space lasers, which coincidentally are owned by the Rothschild and other Jewish families and things like that. And later she had to clarify. She clarified, "Oh no, I didn't. I never said that. I never said Jewish space lasers. That's not what I said." But that's basically what was implied. And to this day, it is still brought up to her. It's funny.
Yep,
she's a little bit nutty.
Oh, no, I find all of this fascinating. I find it absolutely fascinating that the only people who can be the leaders of the country are either this guy that half the country like hates and would gladly kill and is ready to burn the country to the ground if this guy wins, or this guy who just reads a teleprompter, and that's all he does. It's like these are the best of the best, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what they do.
I find it interesting because like we have we're a democracy in the sense that we vote for our leaders and stuff, but the decision is made of who you're allowed to vote for. You know what I mean? It's like you have to pick one of these two guys, and if you prefer one party or the other, it's already been made by the people who decide who the candidate is. It's interesting. So yeah, you get to vote, you get to go out and your vote makes a difference, but we've already decided it's one of these two guys and we already know which side you're on. So anyway, pardon me for being a little suspicious of the way the system has turned out.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Whereas elected members of Congress take an oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the United States.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. So we were just talking about what oath you're required to take to become a citizen. There's also your oath to become a congressperson, right? So she has taken 2 oaths of allegiance, and she has made it clear that her real allegiance is to Somalia and to Islam.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, "I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen." Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements.
Dang. So that's interesting. This is do you know what she is? Is she a senator or a congresswoman?
I think just congresswoman. Yeah.
Okay. So congresswoman here actually saying it's treasonous. So she's guilty of treason. Wow.
Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia.
Dang, she's calling that treason.
Whereas Representative Omar continued, For as long as I am in U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the U.S. system.
Does sound pretty bad.
You would think there's a strong case here. It looks like
like
it, right?
yeah.
It looks like it because that's correct. So you are supposed to renounce allegiances other than the United States, and there she is as an actual congresswoman, repeatedly referring to the president of her former country as my president or our president, saying that she's working for Somalia, and all of that. It sounds really, really terribly problematic. Actually.
Pretty rough. But yeah, I don't even know what the rules are as far as like. There are basically, so she's calling it treason. I don't know if it meets the requirements of treason, although, I mean, sounds really, really bad to me. Working, having a foreign government call the shots for you, and you're working for them behind the scenes and openly admitting it. That seems pretty crazy. But it's not like you're, selling secrets on how to destroy the U.S. to China or the Soviet Union or something like that. So there are different levels of treason. So I don't think this is like where you send people to prison or execute them or something like that. But like, what is it? Like, should they be kicked? I think she should be kicked out of Congress or something like that.
Let's say, to our knowledge, she's not doing that.
Yeah. So, but it seems like if you're just openly declaring your complete hypocrisy on things like, if Christians do it, I have a problem with it, but Muslims do it, and I say, yay. That's pretty bad. If you're actually saying that, this other country is sending you messages on what to do to defend their interests against the interests of other nations, you have no place in Congress. I would say that. I would say, get the heck out of Congress, Get her out of there.
Get the heck out of here.
And I would really say, at the end of the day, Muslims, if you want people to not be suspicious of you when Muslims become politicians, get some better politicians who aren't like this, right? Get some politicians who aren't like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and Keith Ellison and so on. It's like, get some people who don't come across as people who are trying to sabotage the country from within.
But then who's going to infiltrate the government and sabotage it?
That's true.
See?
Whereas George Washington warned in his farewell address of 1796 to guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism, and further declared citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. Whereas these statements...
I didn't understand anything she just quoted from George Washington, except that it was some sort of patriotic warning. I got that. But other than that...
I'm glad that I'm not alone in that.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? That's like one of those, it's like you could quote someone and like no one understands it, but you just sound smart if you're quoting it. It's like, oh, this person's really well. This person didn't just go to a website and pull up this quote. This person like really just knows a lot of stuff about history and stuff.
By Representative Omar clearly violate the oath she took as an elected member of Congress to defend and protect the United States Constitution. Whereas Representative Omar has exhibited the treasonous tendencies George Washington warned about, and her actions must be condemned by all members of Congress who adhere to the oath they took upon assuming office. And whereas by openly admitting her efforts to advance Somalia's interest using her position as a United States representative, Representative Omar has revealed herself to be a foreign agent.
Wow. But she's right? I mean, it's like, lots of the politicians when they're complaining about someone on the opposite side of the aisle, I'm always thinking, you just hate the other person. Like, what's she saying that's wrong here?
That's the funny thing. Like when somebody like her makes these complaints about Ilhan Omar, people will go for, oh, this is just, you're just going after her because she's a Muslim. This is just because of Islamophobia. How about we stop that and focus on what she's actually saying? Is she wrong or not, or is she right or not? She's right in what she's saying. It looks like
acting on behalf of a foreign government. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee of the Budget and the Committee on Education and the Workforce.
based. I want to ask a very irrelevant question here, completely off topic, but the way she says the O's, Ilhan Omar, what is that?
I don't know.
Is that an accent thing? Where she? I don't know. What is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you know where this chick's from?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I said I was wondering, like, what would the penalties be? So if you're actually accusing her of treason and so on, what would the penalties be? Because it's not like you're going to sentence her to death over something like this. So what is the actual penalty? It sounds like she gave 2. She's not on some committees she's on, and she be censured. So I don't know how extreme a censure is. Sounds like you still remain a congressperson. You're just not on this committee, and you've got a censure by your name or something like that. I don't know. But
she's from Georgia, by the way.
Yeah, I would actually say get her out of Congress. You should not be in Congress if you violate your oath of office in this sort of severe way. I would say you should not be in Congress. I do not trust you. I already don't trust politicians enough, and then when I see this, it makes it even worse. So you need to restore faith in the system at some point and get rid of people who are openly declaring allegiance to other nations and saying that they are using the U.S. government as basically their puppet to carry out the will of a foreign nation.
I agree.
You see, because AP is based. You can't even talk. You just became a citizen like 5 seconds ago.
I agree.
You have to get some street cred before you can actually be calling shots here. Actually, what the heck? You should go become a congressperson. Whoa,
I know.
Dude, why don't you do what she did? She just came over here and started running for various offices and stuff and takes over, and you could do that, man.
You know what? I will, without any attempt to brag, I will say that I'm too
based.
No.
Chill.
No.
Turkish.
I have principles.
I said too Turkish.
I don't think I would be able to become a politician. I can't BS people, you know.
Yeah, no, I think you could if you tried. But
No,
there's a movie
really
there's a movie they used to make us watch in school in like 7th grade or something like that, but it was Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's like this really nice guy who goes to Congress and stuff and finds out what a cesspool it is, and you're kind of required to be a dirtbag and stuff, and you can't get anything done if you're not scheming and plotting and forming alliances and so on. You can't get anything done. So you had to find out the hard way how much things suck.
Politics is dirty, no matter who you are.
It is.
There's dirt along the way, and
It would be funny if you infiltrated the system and then like started declaring your loyalty to Turkey.
Yeah.
Hey, Erdogan, I'll be your agent here on your behalf if you stop saying you want to have me arrested and executed.
That's a good idea. I might just go for that. Well, I was thinking after becoming a citizenship, finally working toward overthrowing the American government and establishing an Islamic State here, but I feel like it's like too much effort.
How funny would that be if all of a sudden after years of all this stuff you like come out and you're like, my whole apostasy thing, it was all a scheme to infiltrate the system
y'all.
and make and reestablish the Ottoman Empire and Caliphate. It'd be pretty cool. Claim, if you're more scared of Vlad shoving a wood stake up your butt in this world than of Allah's wrath in the next, you've already left Islam. Yes, according to Islam, they should not have been scared of all that stuff. They should have been more scared of Allah. But mentally and psychologically, walking 75 miles and seeing nothing but dead bodies to the right of you and to the left of you, that'll just scare your confidence in Allah right out of you.
It impacted David so much that he just said "but" subconsciously because he is thinking about those stakes. Yeah.
Who is the father of Jesus in Islam? Yeah, he doesn't have one.
But, Islam accepts the virgin birth, but
But Allah is the one who blew into Mary's vagina, according to Surah 66, verse 12 of the Quran. What?
I always find it fascinating how casually you say these things.
What? Allah the vagina blower?
Blew into her vagina.
He did.
I know, but it just sounds so bad.
Yeah, that's what the Quran says. I can't. Sheikh Mahboob, my second favorite sheikh, says, wait, you guys mentioned zakat versus jizya. Is that not the reason Muslim countries are poor now? Because there are no more Christians and Jews and Hindus to pay the high jizya. It is an issue, and it's hard for Muslim nations to, even if they have large Christian populations, it's hard to actually make it official to, make people pay jizya because of how that would be viewed by the UN. And so, yeah, it's hard for them to actually implement Islam, even though you saw, ISIS did it. People were not, the world was not big fans of that. But yeah, now they're screwed because they had a system that was based upon subjugating people and making them pay you money.
It was based.
Nikhil says, AP, how can it be child rape if Daniel Hakikachu consents?
That's a good point.
Yeah, why don't you explain that?
Huh. That's a good point. I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel should have brought that up during the debate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stupid move, Daniel. You had the case cracker right there, and you had an airtight case, and you screwed it up.
Stupid.
Super chat from Karen there. Snite, super chat from Snite. Hey, Snite, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
We have a response to the most obvious false prophet. Here we have most obvious false prophet is TB Joshua, but all four are bad. I don't know about that. I've seen John McCrae make some responses to TB Joshua in the past.
Who's TB Joshua?
He's still around. He's some guy in I don't know which country he is in Africa, but yeah, he keeps making prophecies of things that don't happen and so on. But I can't think of anyone in the world today who's in the same ballpark with like Muhammad or Joseph Smith or something like that.
I don't know. As soon as you bring up Jim Jones, like it's almost comedic how terrible. I don't know. Maybe it's just so comedic now that it's because he lived in our time. Mm-hmm. He was a contemporary. Maybe that's the only reason. I don't know. I don't know. That's yeah. Yes.
That's I mean, what's crazy is they have like the recordings of that dude. Man,
yeah,
that's some messed up stuff. I'm glad some people like wised up at the last moment and got the heck out of there. But yeah, the stories even of like some of the survivors, but like they're they realize they're going to run, and like it turns out their wife and kid had already taken the Kool-Aid and stuff, and crazy stuff. Does Ilhan know what she is saying? She just admitted to being a part of of international espionage against the U.S. Yeah, that does sound exactly like what she just said. So
that sounds like a very Islamophobic comment here. You might want to think that through.
Mm-hmm. West Europe should thank Hungary, Wallachia. I've never known how to pronounce that. Do you know how to pronounce that? You ever heard that? Wallachia, Austria, Croatia, Serbia, Poland, etc.
I think it's actually just Wallachia.
Yeah. So look up John Hunyadi. Yeah, you had
he was the Hungarian Jew.
You had an issue in the West. So you had Muslims conquered Spain and were up into France and so on. Then you had their stand, and then they're expelled. And so, but in the East, it was just more consistent. There were more consistently over centuries being attacked and so on. But yeah, there were people who constantly stood their ground, and fortunately for us, they repelled the invasions, only to have later generations say, you know what would be great? If we just had Islam take over the entire world, then everything would be great. Yay! It works so
much fun.
it works so well in Somalia. Why can't it work here? Oh, here we go. Somali here. Omar trying to be Arab through Islam, because you can't be proud of your ethnicity that's not Arabic and be Muslim, which is true supremacy. Yeah, there is an Arab supremacist element in Islam, namely, the creator of the universe is absolutely obsessed with everyone speaking, dressing, living, and even going to the bathroom like a 7th century Arab. Weird stuff. If the final prophet had been Japanese, and Muslims would be running around and wearing kimonos and stuff like that and speaking, everyone would have to pray in Japanese.
I think with Somali, this is actually with Somalia, this is a significant point, because the Somali culture is one of those that were significantly Arabized after the Arab conquest, and that are obviously non-Arabic in origin, but then that just came through mixing and through Islamization. It turned into an Arab culture and became part of the Arab world.
A couple more, and then we're gonna watch another video clip or two. Giovanni says Rodrigo El Cid Diaz and Godfrey Bouillon are two of the best Christian heroes who understood the dangers of Islam. What's weird is you can go to some of the founding fathers of the United States, and they seem to understand Islam massively better than any politician you'll find today. And think about it, it's because, they found out pirates were attacking U.S. ships, and they studied Islam. Imagine that. Hey, why are these guys attacking? Why don't we study it and figure it out? It's an amazing concept. Now it's, 40-some thousand terrorist attacks carried out in the name of Allah just since 9/11. Whatever you do, do not investigate it for 1 second. Don't do that, ever. Just say it has nothing to do with Islam. It's all you're allowed to do. Weird stuff.
Don't be Islamophobic, man.
Weird, wild stuff. Christian and Jewish... Christian and Jewish Somalians. Where are they? Not in Somalia. They had to leave. Trinity Radio, thanks for the super chat. The Impaler. We've got a comment from the Impaler himself. Ooh. Says there's a Kent Hovind video going around saying Islam was started by Catholics to regain the holy city, but Islam got too big and said, forget you. Yeah, that seems really stupid. Seems like a stupid really conspiracy theory. I've even seen people sending me, David, Islam was invented by the Jesuits. And I was like, the Jesuits didn't exist for several more centuries after Islam spread. So are you saying that the Jesuits had time machines? Because that's the only way they started Islam.
Yeah, I understand these historical grievances with the Catholics and others, but you can really take things too far sometimes.
Yeah, and it's a similar issue with like Jews and so on. Once you develop an unhealthy obsession with some group, you start seeing they're behind everything, right? Like anything bad in the world, that group's behind it. Someone just destroyed my car. That's them. They did it.
Yeah. And Kent Hovind. Anyway.
It's powerful stuff. Sorgu says, yeah, that's something I saw in a chick track back in prison. So it was in a chick track. Bragging about foreign president calling you my girl. Yeah, that is kind of messed up, right?
I'm happy she's not.
He calls me his girl. He calls me baby. He says, hey, baby, I got something for you to do, baby. And I say, okay, whatever you want, uncle.
And I call him daddy. Yeah, I'm glad she's not calling him daddy.
What do you want, daddy? Tell me what to do, daddy. I'll be a good girl for you, daddy. Then I get to come back with my kids one day, daddy. And this is like, yay, she needs to be calling the shots for the U.S. government. Avalanche of apostasy reaction logic. Burn a bridge too far, liberal West, to follow a bridge to nowhere. Islamists, or Hamas. Can apostasy still win?
Yes.
But only one
Yes.
way to find out, and that's have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of apostates. Chris
Yeah.
here says,
I would say apostates need to breed like rats. Yeah.
if the trajectory continues, if convicted of treason, it seems Omar would fall under U.S. Code Title 18, if not put under death penalty. Again, I don't think there's any way that this would be in the category of a death penalty.
Nah.
It's 5 or more years imprisonment with a minimum $10,000 fine and no right to hold public office. Yeah, I would agree with fines and not holding public office. In other words, if you said, David, what should the penalty be for her declaring allegiance and all the other stuff she's done, I would say she just should not be in public office. That's it. Get out of Congress. Do not. You have whatever views you want. You are the sort of person. It's the same thing anywhere. If you have a police officer who, as soon as he becomes a police officer, the power goes to his head and he thinks he can start, abusing his power and so on. Okay, you should not be a police officer. There are certain people who have absolutely no business having power or authority over other people, which is my biggest concern with Islam, that it somehow convinces people like Ali Dawa and Dili Hussein that they are supposed to be controlling the world. It's like, you are guys who should absolutely never have any power over anyone in the world, and your religion convinces you that you have to be in charge of all the rest of us. Nope, got a problem. Yeah, so nope, she has no business being in office, I would say. To go to here, what do you think of exorcisms? I think some are real and some are fake.
They're very interesting.
AP thinks all are fake because he's already decided what to believe and doesn't care about evidence.
That's very ironic.
We were talking at at some point about psychology and how psychologists actually understand that.
Yeah, we talked
and
about
it was my atheist professor this was a class in abnormal psychology, and he goes, and exorcisms actually have a disturbingly high degree of success.
Mm-hmm.
that boggles our minds. And of course, from his perspective, it's a kind of placebo effect, right? If you believe that the reason you are having such problems is because you're possessed, and a priest comes in and does an exorcism, and you believe that the demon has been cast out, well, you might actually that might actually help you a lot. So again, this is from an atheist perspective, or you can believe that there are actually demons and that these people can cast them out in the name of Jesus.
There's a reason to it, yeah.
There's a reason to it. Hey, look at this. Somalians seek refuge in Kenya, yet they want to take their so-called stolen land, just like Palestinians. Stay away from Islam. Yeah, I think she was in Kenya. I think she was in Kenya as a refugee, and then they got asylum here in the U.S.
Wow. That's really stupid.
Here's a question for UAP. How much did Israel pay you to support them?
$5.
Yeah, not enough for the work we do. Not enough. We still get incoming shekels from through the super chats and so on. But compared to the awesome amount of work we do, we haven't gotten paid enough.
It's $5. It's not very much, man.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple more super chats, but let's go ahead and watch another video clip. This is of the who is this? Oh, this is the. I think Somalia has a president and a prime minister. This is the prime minister, but there's a photo of Ilhan Omar sitting with him, right beside him, as he explains who the Jews are. The signs of Allah manifest in Gaza. Y'all got that? And so you can see the picture up there in the corner. That's just someone just put a picture there. No, matter of fact, there are two pictures. There are two pictures of Ilhan Omar sitting with the prime minister. Allah displays to us clearly how these people, the Jews, are heartless and how they are merciless
iyo siday u
and
akhlaaq
how they
xun
are
yihiin
immoral,
iyo siday
and how they are the
qiradati
descendants
walkhanaasiir
of
u yihiin
monkeys and pigs.
ilaahay wuxuu inaga
Allah is
tusinayaa Gaza ayuu
showing
ilaahay
us this
tusinaya
in
waxay
what they're
samaynayaan.
doing in Gaza. Can hear the Allahu Akbar in the background. So the Jews
You know,
are...
this
Go ahead.
this enrages me. The thing is, it doesn't enrage me because it surprises me or because it's like it's shocking to hear what he's saying. What enrages me about this is that this is extremely common. This is very much expected. This is like a regular thing to say among Muslim populations like these, and people just don't want to see it. And it is pointed out all the time that Muslims have a huge problem with Jews, and that this is a very common narrative among Muslims, and yet most of the world just refuses to see it. Most of the world just looks away and acts like that never happened. And all the hate is just about politics. It's just about land. It's just about Israel. I'm sorry, but if people out there don't understand and don't know that the average Muslim society is extremely anti-Jewish to such an extent that they would happily allow and justify an entire genocide of all the Jews in the world, then you just don't know anything. You are ignorant, you are delusional. I'm sorry, but it is really that simple. It's really that simple. In the Muslim world, in the Muslim population, in Muslim societies, it is totally acceptable. It's totally, completely acceptable to make excuses for and justify the eradication of Jews, because this is not just something that is politics to them. It is something that is religiously motivated and promised and justified. And if you think that Ilhan Omar doesn't harbor these very same ideas, and that she doesn't have this religious hate for Jews, then again, this is naive. It is ignorant. Of course she does. Of course, behind the scenes, while sitting together with Jewish people in Congress, of course, behind the scenes, she believes that the day will come when the Jews will be exterminated at the hands of the Muslims. It's just, this is what Islam is. This is what Islamists are, and people should understand it. And it's not just about the Jews, but it is extremely bad when it comes to the Jews.
Yeah, and for me, the creepiest thing about that, because I'm like you, it's not shocking or something. Oh my goodness, here's a guy who says that the Jews are descendants of apes and pigs. We're quite familiar with that. This is the Prime Minister of Somalia, and Ilhan Omar meets with him apparently regularly. And she acknowledges that the leaders of Somalia are telling her what to do to carry out Somali interests. And this is one of the guys who would be calling the shots for a U.S. congresswoman. That's wild stuff. That's really, really wild stuff. That these are the guys. And we saw her like retweeting a guy who calls for, who tells Muslims to breed like rats so they can take over the world.
That's a good word used by
his
him.
words, breed like rats. This is wild stuff. Wild stuff. All right, go through a couple more super chats here. And I think we'll probably look at one more clip and then close it out. So Ali will give consent to that Pikachu guy to marry his 9-year-old child. Is that a good analogy? I'm confused. D Wood, I sent DM to your Instagram. What is WDY? Is that what do you think? It looks like.
Yeah.
Special news bulletin, ladies and gentlemen. I am not on Instagram. I don't even know what Instagram. I know it's a social media platform. I do not know what it is. So I'm not on Instagram. So if you're sending DMs to D Wood on Instagram, that is an imposter.
Oh no, it's the imposter.
Hey, did you hear that? Did you hear Dave Chappelle? Did I tell you about that when he's talking about being on Twitter? Yeah, no. He said. Dave Chappelle. He's like, people kept telling me I needed to get on Twitter, and then so I try to set up a Twitter account, and then I get this notice. It says, you cannot impersonate a celebrity on Twitter. And so it wouldn't let me, and I wasn't sure what to do, but it wasn't, I wasn't going to try really hard because I didn't care that much. But yeah, it told me this, and I didn't know how I'm supposed to verify that I'm actually Dave Chappelle or what. But anyway, so I gave it up. But I saw that there's already a Dave Chappelle account. And so there's some guy, but he said, and I didn't care much because the guy's actually funny, right? So he says the guy's actually funny. He's posting all these hilarious jokes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. He says, but after a while, the guy started started getting into insult battles with other comics. And he said, and the guy started making fun of Cat Williams and making fun of Cat Williams. And then Cat Williams is responding and it's escalating and stuff. And Cat Williams thinks it's me. So I'm like, man, Cat Williams thinks that I'm sending all these insults to him and I'm not. So he says, this goes on for months. And eventually I see him somewhere and I walk up to him and I say, Cat, look, man, I just want you to know I'm not on Twitter. He said, Cat goes, so what? I'm not on Twitter either. It's like, it's funny. It's two comedians battling and everyone taking sides and it's just fake. It's all fake. There's not really any of the, no actual comedian is involved. I don't know. I thought that was funny. It's like he tells stories that are like perfect illustrations of like problems with some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's very good.
Okay. So the other part, as far as Ali Dawa giving consent to Pikachu, that is a concern. So remember, Ali Dawa has acknowledged, I mean, he said it. He said if his daughter gets her first period at the age of 9, he will tell her she's ready to be married. And he goes on, what if she doesn't want to do it? She wants to finish school. Somebody says, yeah, he let her decide and so on. But what if she says, okay, Daddy, yes, I'm ready for marriage. I want to marry someone. Okay, what's he going to do? It's illegal. It's illegal there. But we also, I mean, having a second and third wife is illegal too. We know they do that. So what would he actually do? It seems like, based on what he has said, not on what we think, on what he has said, he would actually marry her off in a mosque ceremony to some guy. Who's he going to marry her to? Some guy who thinks it's perfectly acceptable to have sex with a 9-year-old girl. Can we think of anyone like that? Yeah, that's why that's why it's like an issue. Like, are these guys like passing their daughters around to each other behind the scenes, mosque marriages? Probably. But keep in mind, we're the racists for being concerned about their daughters more than they are.
What's funny is when you say Aldawa giving consent to Pikachu, it sounds like some weird Pokemon sex fantasy.
Yeah, that wouldn't be surprising either. Echoing Erudite here says, many not aware or believe Jim Jones was an atheist. Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to see his writings because you look for signs, because he's claiming that he believes what he says, but you can have total fake grifters and so on doing this sort of stuff. So I'd be kind of 50-50. If you ask me, based on what little I know, which is, I think I watched a documentary about it years ago. That's the extent of my knowledge. But if you ask me, did Jim Jones really think he's this guy, this prophet, or does he know he's fake? I'd be kind of 50-50 on that. But if I looked into it, I might find from letters or something or more investigation. You might be able to find out whether the guy's nuts or it's all a scam to him.
He started out as a Christian preacher, and he had a church, and then he led that whole church into a completely different direction and went toward how we need socialism to change the world and make things different. And from there, it just became weirder and weirder into how he gets special revelations and he has a special plan that he needs to reveal, but it's a very sensitive one. I don't know. It's just the guy became progressively more insane in whatever he preached. And I don't know. It looks like he may have been actually mentally ill, or it was just a giant scam. But the fact that he made that they did a mass suicide, including himself, it looks like he actually believed what he did.
Yeah, that's either. So even that, I'm still thinking. Yeah, I would say that leans towards him taking this stuff seriously.
Uh-huh.
So I wouldn't think it's 50-50 anymore. But I wouldn't swing all the way towards, yeah, I believe he was sincere, because that could just be a guy who understands, hey, these guys are going to come and arrest me and they're going to lock me in prison. I'd rather die. So it could be like suicide, but I'm taking all these people with me just to demonstrate my contempt to all you people who thought you could take me down,
Mhm,
because there are
mhm.
people who are pretty brutal like that. Giovanni here says, David, I was at Barnes & Noble today and saw the screaming goat you have being sold there. Lol, and I was so tempted into buying it. You better be tempted into buying it. If you see one of these goats, you should not let this go. Now, I have the special edition, which has the goat eating some actual Quran bits. It is actual and screaming because it tastes bad.
Alhamdulillah.
But yeah, you got to get it. Marjorie was, hey, this is a response to you, AP. Marjorie was subpoenaed and taken off her committees for that tweet AP mentioned. She made it
Oh,
in
really?
2018, I believe. The trajectory has already happened.
I didn't know about the consequences of it. I just remember the tweet, and it just sounded incredibly insane. The stuff she said, and it sounded very stupid and very insane. Extreme conspiracy theory. She was actually suggesting that there are these people who own these space lasers and who caused the fires for a specific political agenda. It's just, wow. Okay, calm down, man.
That kind of makes sense then for her to be calling for Ilhan to be punished. It's like, hey, if you're going to
Yeah.
come after me for what I said, look at what she's saying. You obviously need to do something about this here.
That's true. That's
It
true.
does make sense. That makes it make more sense if she's saying, hey, we need to be consistent here. Blue says, how much Israel pays you not to celebrate racks and massacre happy. Now both sides pay you. A few Palestinian shekels to make the how much Israel pays you not to celebrate racks and massacre happy. Now both sides pay you. Yeah, this is cool. We're happy to get the Palestinian shekels too. And that's why we're always, always, always nice to Palestinian.
Very, very nice.
Incoming shekels. Woohoo.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
We love all the shekels. We love all the shekels. Possessions, unseen forces. Oh, possessions. I think it's on the demonic possession. Possessions, unseen forces beyond nature, and whatever brought nature into existence has to be supernatural, beyond nature, to bring nature into existence. Yes, what brings nature into existence is beyond nature. Unless you're an atheist and then just, it can just all just happen on its own. And I don't even have to think about it because I can just say, well, Dawkins said this. Dawkins is whatever Dawkins says, him so smart. Him smart than you. Have Congress peeps access to sensitive material? I don't know what that means. It means, are they aware of additional stuff? Sensitive material? Yes, they have all kinds of stuff. I Love New York says, Christian and Jewish Somalian are in Ethiopia and Kenya. I am from Ethiopia. I know it. The Jewish Somalians are called Bet Isaac. Please do research. So this is saying that, any Jews and Christians in the Somali area are now in Ethiopia or Kenya.
Bet Isaac.
That would make sense. Solitary Emmy says, not saying those unseen forces of demons created anything, but that there are supernatural things in order to give rise to natural things. I agree with you. AP's the one who doesn't. Because thinking's not important in atheism. Mossad Agent Skibbity Jenkins.
What?
Mossad Agent Skibbity Jenkins. Skibbity Jenkins is a funny name. I laugh at funny names, but it's also Mossad Agent Skibbity Jenkins with Skeletor from He-Man. Thank you for your work. Here's your payment as promised. Thank you, Skibbity. Skibbity bebop, we rock a Scooby-Doo. And guess what? America, we love you. Muslims or cow? I choose the cow. I'm trying to think if I've ever had moose.
What moose? I'm just reading about. Sorry, I was absent because I was reading about Jim Jones, my hero.
I've had bison. Oh yeah, you should memorize his speeches like you do with Hitler. I mean, obviously, AP's like, well, if he convinced so many people to kill themselves, he must have been so persuasive and eloquent.
No, I actually read about him and watched some documentary and footage of him quite a lot actually. But I was just unsure because somebody said he was wasn't he shot, so I wanted to check because I'm pretty sure that he participated in the suicide. But yeah, it's he did participate. He inflicted a gunshot suicide. So yeah.
And there were what's crazy is, so his community had moved down there to, you know, that compound in South America and so on, but he still had people here in the U.S. I believe it was his son. I think it was his son that I saw in an interview, because the orders got called in to his. There was a house that was housing several of them. The orders got called in for them to commit suicide. I think it was his son who said he came in there with some others from the group, and like they saw blood leaking from the ceiling or something because someone had killed themselves and the blood was leaking through, something like that, or something. There was all this blood and stuff, and he said he basically had some common sense, and he says, "Guys, no one do anything stupid right now, okay?" And he actually he actually took some steps to make sure no one's killing themselves over this stuff. And so it's like, seems like he might have understood. That guy, the son, maybe.
What's funny is he also
figured
had
it out
ties.
right then.
He also had ties to the Soviet Union. He had ties to the Communist Party, and I think even wanted his belongings to be donated or to be given to the Communist Party, which just makes everything a little bit weird.
TB Joshua died in 21. Oh, I didn't know that because I still see people making videos about him. That's wild. TB Joshua died in 2021, and there is a documentary about his evil cult for many years. Most recent, False Prophet. All history. Yes, Muhammad on Team D Wood. I guess that's for me defending Muhammad as the most obvious false prophet in history. We could toss TB Joshua up into the mix if someone wants to defend it.
I don't know much.
Yeah, I don't either. I would love to see your reaction to Abu Nadir Ruqya. Not familiar who that is. You know who that is?
Abu Nadir Ruqya. Somebody who does Ruqya? I don't know. I don't know who that is. Ruqya is the practice of the Islamic form of exorcism, basically. But I don't know who Abu Nadir is.
Abu Nadir. Ruqya in London, subsidiary of the Ruqya International Academy, run by Sheikh Khalid al-Hishbi, a prominent leading scholar of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I don't know what we're supposed to react to. What is that, like possession videos or something? I don't know.
I will only react if he has a big Zabiba.
Yeah, if we don't see the Zabiba, we are not reacting to anything.
Yeah, I can't take it seriously if it doesn't have a big Zabiba.
He looks pretty legit. He's got a beard that's all the way up almost to his eyes. He's got the Ruqya. He's got the Ruqya handbook.
He's got the Ruqya.
Doesn't got a lot of. Oh yeah, it's jinn stuff. All this stuff is like him fighting jinns and getting them out of people and so on. Okay.
Does he have a Zabiba?
I can't tell. I can't quite see it. I don't see any clear Zabiba. The Zabiba's got to be clear, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Make sure a bit that you check the Zabiba before you ask us to react to something.
Got to have the Zabiba or the Zabubas, one or the other, or we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Immortal sent a super sticker. Whoa! Someone gifted 80. What? Someone gifted 80 memberships. When did that happen? I didn't see it.
No, that's probably a lie.
No, is that just someone saying it?
Yeah.
Nice. Respect. Ian says, just a note to say hello and thanks for all you do. Learned a lot to reach out to my Muslim coworkers and atheist coworkers thanks to your work. Yep.
Leave the atheists alone. What do you want from them atheists?
Yeah, gotta do something about those atheists.
Yeah,
Somali here. Ask me anything. The quote was a lie. Yes, everything was a lie. Defender of Ilhan Omar says so. David, do you believe magic spells work on people? Well, I believe in demons, so I believe there could be situations where something might, but in general, no. Hello, Yiddy. Sending to Zuzim payment for that goat. Yes. It's a good idea. And follower of the Christ says, Cultish has a great podcast on Jim Jones and related cults. That I might want to check that out because, I saw something that was just made for TV years ago on Jim Jones. But yeah, if we're going to have the great debate about who the most obvious false prophet in history is, might have to check things out. All right, we're going to watch one more little clip and then we're going to head out. So one more, and this one is, what is it? It's just what's her name? Brigitte Gabriel. Just her little reaction, and this is just to give a couple different perspectives on here. So we had Green. We saw how DeSantis reacted. We've got the media defending her. No, anyone who criticizes her is a racist. And here is Brigitte Gabriel, who is also an immigrant, and she's just commenting on kind of the oath you're supposed to take here. But let's check this out.
But she's a Christian and she's
Look,
also
Eric-
against Islam, which means that she's white and a racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look how white she is.
Let me make something clear. Well, I'm a naturalized citizen. When we become naturalized citizens, we raise our hand in the swearing ceremony and we say, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, forsaking all others. I don't give a flying kite what country we were raised in. We came to America to be.
Were you like me? You thought she was about to say something else?
Yeah. I was like, oh.
I don't give a flying kite. I'm wondering why she has to yell the entire time now. Oh, this is Newsmax. So they yell all the time on Newsmax?
She is one of the most based people.
Ooh.
I can't believe I actually started saying that word seriously now.
Wow.
One of those people. Of the
You
old,
affirm her basedness, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I have to qualify her as based. Yes.
Okay, you heard it here, folks. Apostate Prophet declared Brigitte Gabriel is based.
Yeah.
Based. Here we go.
Forsaking all others. I don't give a flying kite what country we were raised in. We came to America to be Americans, to become Americans. We pledge loyalty to America. That's how the immigrants that made it all the way through the history of our nation, that's how they did it. My children don't speak a word of Arabic because I wanted to make sure my children were Americans and they understood that they are number one Americans before.
Wow, not a word of Arabic. That's pretty extreme. I don't know. See, that's the thing. She's also counter jihadi. If she wants her kids to follow in her footsteps, seems like it'd be cool for them to learn a little bit of Arabic so they can respond to some of this stuff. But
it's not really that extreme. My kids don't speak a word of Turkish.
What the heck is wrong with you? Well, there's not really anything cool to say in Turkish, but that's a different story, right? No one says, "Hey, we need to combat Islam, so let's learn Turkish." It makes sense to want people to learn Arabic for purposes of criticizing Islam.
Anything else. Now, listening to Ilhan Omar talk about the Somali community, let's not forget, it was out of that Somali community, her community, that 43 terrorists went to the Middle East to fight in the holy war against America. The first American suicide bomber was a Somali American from that community. We need to make it very clear to our people that we need representation in Congress, those who represent America and no other nation.
So the issue.
Represent America and no other nation.
She's quite brutal.
Yeah. So anyway, we got some different perspectives. Does seem pretty messed up. What's going on in Congress, and the fact that like half the country would defend her having that position to the death, like being a foreign agent. They would just automatically, shame on you for criticizing that.
So, do you still argue, as you did yesterday, that there's nothing to worry about for the West?
Yeah, that's what I said yesterday. I said there's nothing to be concerned about. All is well. Just sit back, keep your mouth shut, and enjoy the show.
Wow.
A couple more super chats and we'll head out. Giovanni, how is this guy still here? Giovanni says, "'Tis better to poop in the sink than to sink in the poop." True. Socrates. In this world, you are either a smart fella or a fart smeller. Which one will you be? Muhammad. These are some of the great quotes from Socrates and Muhammad.
That's pretty
Melissa
good.
says, is the debate most obvious or most successful, false prophet? Because if Muhammad was so obvious, how did he get so many people on board? Yeah, when we say most obvious, and we're talking about now, like all things considered, you can be a false prophet among a bunch of total morons, and it might not be obvious to them, whereas it might be obvious to other people who aren't part of that context. So when I say Muhammad is the most obvious false prophet, I mean we can actually list criteria of false prophets. And Muhammad meets more of those in a more epic fashion than anyone I can think of in history. And that's why I say he's the most obvious false prophet in history.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. And AP says, no, because Muhammad didn't have Kool-Aid.
Yeah, he didn't have Kool-Aid. He didn't even commit suicide.
Yeah. Bobby here says, sending this for your flying kite. Great show. Thanks.
What's funny is the second time you played it, I know exactly that she's not going to say anything bad, but I still had this reflex, like, still expecting her to say something very, very bad.
Yeah, no. And then Hobo Cup, Golden Era, D Wood and Robert Spencer versus Shabir Ali, Sheikh Yasser Qadi. Attitude Era, D Wood and AP versus Ali Dawa, Stripper Mo, Pikachu, Woody Cowboy. Yeah, so they're using wrestling terms as far as the Golden Era of wrestling, and then the Attitude Era and stuff like that. Yeah, things have definitely changed, and it is similar parallel there.
Yeah.
And my brother told me that Muslims traditionally held that Jews were Trinitarians. My brother told me that Muslims traditionally held that Jews were Trinitarians. I'd have to see that. You do have the Quran saying that Jews call Ezra the son of God. And in reality, as far as the real world is concerned, in the first century, Jews had a number of views, and saying that there's that there's God and the Spirit of God and the Word of God, and that their personal would not have been upsetting to lots of Jews. This was very common. It was later on in history when the rabbis started reacting against Christianity and became much more strictly Unitarian and so on. Muhammad didn't know any of that stuff. He didn't know any of that stuff. In fact, I don't even really know. Like I was just talking about Jim Jones. I don't know if the guy knew he was fake or if he was just mental and believed what he was saying. Like, I don't know. Once subjugating other people and forcing them to pay jizya becomes a money-making scheme in Islam, I don't know if when he says Jews call Ezra the son of Allah, if he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he really thinks it's true, or if it's just, I need something to accuse these guys of so I can take all their stuff. I don't know which one that is.
It's very rough because we know his interactions with the Jews, and he initially liked them and really wanted to win them over, but these guys, they just wouldn't go for his idiotic thing that he was trying to pitch, and were calling him out, and he was obviously very much inferior in knowledge. They were making fun of him, so it could be that is just one of the reactions there.
And by the way, there's still like 2 or 3 more super chats and so on. But Muhammad in that sense reminds me of Ilhan Omar, and that Muhammad, his main goal seemed to be getting his own people, accept him, because they hate him, and he thinks he's going to be accepted by the Jews, and that's okay. I'll be accepted by the Jews. My own people are rejecting me. I'll be accepted by the Jews. The Jews reject him, and then they have to be destroyed. But he goes back to his people, and I've heard Muslims use it like, if Muhammad were really violent, why wouldn't he have slaughtered everyone who rejected him? Because he really wanted to be accepted by them. He really, really wanted to be accepted by his own tribe, to such an extent that that's how we got, according to Muslim sources, the satanic verses. He wanted so much for his people to accept him that he actually promoted polytheism in order to win them over. But it kind of reminds me of Ilhan Omar in that, you have to flee this, but you still love it and you still want them to accept you and to be their hero and to invite you back in. But how are you going to go about that? It's kind of similar to Muhammad delivering the satanic verses. It's like, I want this so bad that I'll just do anything, including promoting polytheism in order to win them over. And with Ilhan Omar, I want to be accepted by them so bad that I'll just be completely treasonous in accepting orders from foreign leaders and so on. This is that parallel. I want to be accepted by my people.
Muhammad Hijab would call that intellectually subservient and mentally molested. That's what he would call it.
Yep. All right, couple more super chats and we will head out. Melissa must have started with a small number of people, but if kids get brainwashed from start, they won't know to think how obvious it is. Yes, that's true. You can raise people to believe almost anything. Like even you could convince, I don't know, you could convince people that universes just pop into existence. Melissa, a couple minutes ago, that was the comment. Is the debate most obvious or most successful false prophet? Because if Muhammad was so obvious, how did he get so many people on board? So the question from Melissa was, how obvious a false prophet could Muhammad be if a bunch of people accepted him? Well, so two things. Matter of fact, we can expand upon that a little bit since Immortal here is responding. As far as people recognizing Muhammad as a false prophet, look at who he's appealing to. He's appealing to a bunch of Arabs who don't know, who they have no clue what the criteria for a false prophet is. They have no clue what those criteria are. So, but even then, it was very few of the polytheists who accepted Muhammad based on his, linguistic miracle claims. He did not win a lot of followers. He started winning lots of followers when he became like an organized crime gang. Hey guys, join me. We'll go out and take everyone's stuff. And if you die in battle, you get to spend eternity deflowering virgins in paradise. What was his evidence for those kinds of things? He didn't have any. It's just he's just making the claim and appealing to a bunch of people. But that turned out to be the gang you wanted to join because they're going to take over Arabia. And so he started getting tons of followers there. But he ended up running into Christians and Muslims who could spot false prophets, and they declared him a false prophet. So the point there is not. I mean, if you're talking about a false prophet, if someone is rejected by everyone, you wouldn't even show up on our radar. So anyway, yes, the fact that he won a bunch of followers does not mean, I would say, that he's not the most obvious false prophet in history.
What's important is here whether Melissa is a Palestinian or not.
Mm-hmm. Is it haram to be covered in more semen than Muhammad? I would say yes, because you can't be better than Muhammad. And if he was constantly covered in semen, what are you going to be like? Oh, look at me, I'm covered in even more. But I always forget that there may be people who are just like tuning into a video and they're like, oh, here's something on Ilhan Omar. Let me watch this, and have no idea about the stuff we normally talk about. For anyone who's new here, it's an ongoing thing. There are all these passages in the Hadith that Muhammad's covered in semen. And so this question is, what if you're covered with even more semen? Would that be haram? Yeah, you'd be in trouble. No one gets to be covered in more semen than Muhammad.
That's a sign of prophethood to be covered in semen.
Mm-hmm. It's the proof. And guess what? That wouldn't you could make that claim. That claim would be as persuasive as one of Muhammad's come. Look, this mole on my back. How could I not be a prophet with this huge mole? And that was somehow persuasive to them. Well, why not? Look at how much semen I'm covered in. This proves that I'm a prophet.
Wow, look at all the semen on his garment. I think this means he is a true prophet.
He has to be. Oh. And finally, love you guys. This show is far better than just the apple of the leather strap of the anus. Yes,
thanks.
So you would say apple for anyone who's new here, Muhammad said that the eye is the leather strap of the anus. And so you'd say apple of my eye, it's better than the apple of my eye. But since Muhammad said the eye is the leather strap of the anus, it's the apple of the leather strap of the anus. And why do we say these weird things? Because of Muhammad. You can thank Muhammad for all the weird things that we have to say. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
That sounds pretty racist. But yeah.
Just before we close out, I got one little poll while you're all still here. I am actually interested in what people say after examining these issues. Is Ilhan Omar a traitor?
Traitor.
Is she not a traitor in terms of someone who trades things? Is she a traitor?
I think she's a traitor.
All right. You'll have a few seconds to vote, and then I will declare whether she has been completely exonerated by this live stream. Whoa, 100%. Okay, it's going down. We have some naysayers here. 99%. My goodness. I was thinking like 80 or something like that. You see that? Is it 97? Okay. Come on, Somalis. We know you're here watching. 97%. I mean, that's just because keep in mind, you wouldn't have to be on Ilhan Omar's side. You could say she's you could say she doesn't have any business in Congress because of her views or something like that. That wouldn't be the same as calling someone an actual traitor, someone who is, guilty of treason or something like that. But my goodness, 97% of people who just watch this stuff have concluded traitor.
This just shows that this channel is very Islamophobic, and that's the proof.
Wow. Someone said, I voted yes and no. I didn't even know that was an option. The skeezers are voting no.
Is she a good trader?
Oh,
or not?
Hey, we just had a comment. Where is that? Where did that comment go? Oh yeah, here we go. She is. Check her link with care. I believe I have that short little clip. Where is it? Is it this one? Let me see.
CARE was founded after
9/11
9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
I don't like the way she talks when she gets annoyed.
I know.
Because some people let's go ahead and rewind this. And you know what was weird? Like everyone flipped out on her for a really long time. Like I never got too ticked off. I would use it and mention it because some people did something. So she's talking about the September 11th attacks. And she's saying CARE was founded because after 9/11, people became suspicious of Muslims and started, monitoring mosques and things like that and calling people in for questioning and things like that. And so this was losing access to their civil liberties. And so CARE was formed for that. But when she describes the September 11th attack, she said some people did something. But let's go ahead and check this out again.
CARE
is that a
was
lie? Is that a lie? Did some people not do something?
No, some people definitely did something. Did something. But I'm going to say I was less disturbed by this than lots of people were. But again, I've mentioned it. But let's play it again real quick so everyone knows what we're talking about.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
She has it's not even about who she is or what she stands for, but her speech is very hard to listen to.
Yeah, on the one hand, I mean, I've seen her be like pretty, fairly eloquent and well spoken in lots of places, but when she gets annoyed, she gets like this. There's something really condescending about it, and it just has this right, something like this, just too like gosh, dial it back a little, right?
Yeah.
But so yeah, lots of people were flipping out because she was saying, she described 9/11 as some people did something. Whereas I got the point she's making. Some people did something, and you're blaming everyone. So there is an issue with describing 9/11 like that. But I get what she's actually trying to say. for me, once again, it's the hypocrisy issue of. So what does she want to say? This was just a couple of people, and you should look no further than those couple of people, even though there were lots of people celebrating in various places and so on, and thinking that it's right, or promoting and justifying it, and so on. So, for me, the issue would be the hypocrisy, because what do we see? What do we see with Israel going on right now? Any Jew anywhere in the world is fair game for harassment right now. Hey, AP, go ahead and talk.
What?
There we go. There's the static. I heard the static kick in. You weren't even saying anything.
That's ridiculous.
You got to figure out what that is, man.
It only happens on yours. Only happens on your system. Is
And
it
then
now?
Yeah, it's okay now. That's weird.
That's so stupid. I have different that I just click from analog to default analog, and it fixes. It's the very same thing. It's something about your eCam that you're using.
Yeah, it's eCam. I don't have this problem with anyone else except for your microphone, but it's my system that is the problem. Thank you,
your
AP,
system.
for that brilliant.
It's your
Thank
system.
Thank you, tech genius AP, for sharing that valuable insight on why your microphone is super staticky sometimes.
Fix your system.
Oh boy! So there we have Ilhan Omar. Yeah, and I would say, guys, if you are affiliated or speaking on behalf of the Council on American Islamic Relations, I do not trust you at all, period. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Muslim, non-Muslim, whoever. If you're associated with those guys, the Council on American Islamic Relations, I do not trust you, because they're that obviously evil. And that is an Islamic supremacist organization that is trying to silence all critics of Islam, to get to the sort of society that you have in the UK, where people can go around just raping whoever they want, and everyone's going to keep their mouths shut about it. So,
what? Okay.
Problems. All right. And final two super chats here. The most authentic hadith, Sahih al. Pretty messed up. It's funny. You didn't want to say that word either on yours.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
And between Omar and the cow, I choose the cow. Good point. And let's see here. Immortal 17, power of Allah, the power of Allah, he humiliated AP's audio, inshallah. That is true.
Inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
Your audio got humiliated. And Rango, AP looks like a French detective. Awesome live. If you had a slightly different hat, there's something off about the hat. But yeah, I know what Rango's talking about here. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Look a little bit French, my dear, mon ami, Gérard Depardieu.
Croissant.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to be live on your channel tomorrow?
Yes, probably.
Dope.
Inshallah.
And I have like 30 topics to cover for stuff, so I don't even know how we're going to fit it all in. Because
I have 31.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be live again tomorrow on AP's channel. What is the final count? The final count was 95% say yes, she is a traitor. Wow. That is it.
She is a successful stock trader.
Again, given everything, I would have estimated that it would be somewhere like 70, 80% or something like that. Nope. 95%. That is pretty extreme. And finally here from Sir Whitemeat. Sir Whitemeat, the greatest scientist of all time. AP's audio was vibrated. Was your audio vibrating? Did you get something from the store? Rabbi Shmuley's daughter. Why do we have to say this stuff? Why can't we can't even have normal discussions, because everything has been infected by Dawa clowns. All right, ladies and gentlemen, maybe be live tomorrow on AP's channel. Definitely check back, because we've got some dope stuff to talk about. It'll blow your minds. It'll blow your minds out of your skulls. So, I can't help it. People complain now when I don't play the song, so I'm gonna have to.
All right, let's play that song, right? You should take one of those songs that Sal made it should use one of
yeah.
those as a
As
thing.
intro.
Intro, outro. Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah.
He's got some dope songs, especially the
Yeah,
ones where I'm the one singing. Yep.
Yeah. The guy's a good musician.
All right.
Very nice.
And thanks, Kirsten, for the super sticker. And for that, you get a song.
Ain't gonna follow no child molester, sex offender, private pretender. Ain't gonna follow no child molester.
Islam's not for me. Islam's not for me.
Islam's